Yes, people, welcome back to GNA TV and Chelsea Fan TV. I hope you guys are well wherever it is that you may be around the world. We are back. Feels like it's been a while. I'm not going to lie, it has been a while. Obviously, the World Cup taking over, taking things over at the moment as well. So, yeah, it's good. It's been good. I've enjoyed it. But ultimately, we're coming to the end of the World Cup, and we'll now be starting to look at Chelsea Football Club, talking Chelsea Football Club, transfer news, football games, injuries, players that were injured that may have returned for Chelsea as well. Lots to talk about, lots to get into, lots to discuss. But make sure, guys, that you are smashing them likes. Let's get these likes up as always. Like I said, it's only like it's at the moment I'm doing once a week shows just purely because there's not much going on in around Chelsea. Obviously, we do once a week talk about it, but also we're going to start off by reviewing what's left of the World Cup as well. But we are going to be talking about Reece James, Rafael Leao. We're going to be talking about Moukoko, the guy that we can't even pronounce his name. Moukoko, the player that we're looking to sign. We're going to talk about João Felix. We're going to be talking about who else have we got? Christian Pulisic, Hakim Ziyech. We're going to be talking about Fofana, Reece James. We're going to be talking about Graham Potter and the comments in and around him not potentially having to get top four. So all of that Chelsea stuff to get into, all before the big game in the World Cup as well. Obviously, Croatia and Brazil are the two that are going to be playing each other at 3:00 today. So all of that to get in. Plus the lines are going to be open as well. I want to hear what you guys are saying. It's been a while. I've not been able to talk. So let's get stuck in. Over 40 of you guys here already. And let's cue the intro. Yes, people, welcome back to GNA TV and Chelsea Fan TV. I hope you guys are having a pleasant Friday. It has been a while since I've been streaming in a while, not going to lie. It's only been once a week. So slowly going to be picking it up again. Obviously, people will start realizing that streams coming from here will be coming on both GNA TV and Chelsea Fan TV more frequently again once Chelsea start getting up. We've got the player ratings, we've got the match reactions, we've got the transfer news shows, the live transfer news shows with Ben Jacobs happening throughout January as well. Will Chelsea make any signings in that period? It's something that we're going to discuss, and obviously we're going to highlight. But until then, we're going to talk about what is in and around Chelsea, what we're hearing, what the latest news is that we've heard as well up to this point. And we're going to talk a little bit about the World Cup as well. So let's just quickly just see how everyone's doing. Mitchy, nice to see you, brother, as always. Thank you for being here as well. Big up to Andreas, man. Andreas, nice to see you, bro. Hope you're well. This is big up, Jim. Did you see how bulked some players became? Amari, Chalobah, Carney. I think Potter noticed that we lack muscle, physicality on the field. Let's hope that after the World Cup break, we come back. Really? I've not seen any images of them, to be honest. Maybe he's got them on the protein shakes going to the gym rather than actually running. So, yeah, interesting stuff. We'll have to see what happens there. Leao, nice to see you, Leo. Hope you're good. Dr. M, nice to see you. Says change it to GNT TV. Why should I change it to GNT? GNT. Big up to Steve. Nice to see you. Liam, nice to see you. Steve, nice to see you. There will be more talk about after the World Cup. Yeah, of course there will. We're building up to it. If the World Cup was not in the Winter Champions League, match day 6 would have been 2 and 3 days ago versus Dinamo Zagreb at home. That felt a long time ago. Listen, the last time I think of Chelsea, I think of the bad run that we're on, the losses that we've accumulated, the last 4 games that we have gone into this World Cup in. It's really bad. It's really bad. The only good light of it all is that we do have players returning. Our squad should be stronger. We've got a January window. Can we buy? Can we strengthen in positions that we need to strengthen in, that we need to sort out? He'll have to do that. These are things that you're going to expect him to do. So, interesting to see what happens this next month or two. Big up to Lewis, man. Nice to see him as always. If Chelsea don't get Europe next season, they can really focus on the league next season with the target and be fresher with less busy schedules. Yeah, but I get that. But at the same time, equally, I think a lot of Chelsea fans would probably say that our standards should and always will be Champions League football. We should always be looking to get Champions League football as Chelsea Football Club, Big up to C. Nice to see you. HR1, HR, nice to see you coming home up the Chelsea. Matty K, nice to see you, man. Big up, brother. Nice to see you, mate. It's been a while. It has been a while. I haven't been on the stream for a while, so it's nice to just come and do a quick one with you guys. Fon Gotti says hi, Lewis. Lewis, Mr. Lewis is in the chat. Yeah, let's see what Lewis is doing in it. If he wants to jump in and chill for a bit, he can, man. He can join and chill. This is just the vibes. This is a Chelsea vibes. This is the Chelsea Vibe Show. But I want to start with the World Cup anyway. So let's talk about the World Cup specifically while we're here and while we're chilling. And then we'll get into Chelsea news. Chelsea news is on its way as well. Big up to JP. Nice to see you, bro. Nice to see you. Over 50 of you guys here combined. Nice to see you guys here and tuning in as well, waiting for the World Cup. Big up to Lewis. Lewis, I dropped you a message as well, mate. I dropped you a message. Right. Let's talk about the World Cup before we talk about Chelsea, shall we? Let's just quickly talk about the World Cup because there is a tournament going on, a big tournament, quarterfinals of Croatia, Brazil, Netherlands, Argentina, Morocco, Portugal, and England, France. Obviously, England have made it to the quarterfinals, but now they find a bigger test. And we're going to just quickly talk specifically about the teams that are left, who we think is going to go through to the semis. I'm going to also give you my thoughts on who I think is going to win it, along with I want you guys to share it as well. And then we're going to get into Chelsea talk. Chelsea talk is coming. Croatia versus Brazil. Now, this is starting in the next, just under 2 hours now. No team lineups yet. However, Croatia have always been that team that have always been quite the underdogs, but have always been the dark horses at the same time. Have always made it through. However, they're up against, for me, the favourites in the tournament in Brazil. Brazil are a team that are looking ready. Depth-wise, squad is very good. We saw what they did to the South Korean team. Was it South Korea? The Korean team, anyway. And Heung-min Son completely embarrassed them. So, it's going to be an interesting one. I think Neymar's ultimately very important in this team as well. I expect this to be a Brazil win. What's your thoughts in the chat, guys? I want to know. Who are you going for? Croatia? Brazil? Obviously, Brazil are my favourites, so I'm going to go for that as well. We're going to talk about Moukoko and Gvardiol as well. These are players that we are going to be talking about later in the show as well. Good chat. I forgot about Gvardiol, man. I forgot about this man. I've been preparing myself for a chat on this guy, but anyway, we can talk about him as well. So yeah, Croatia. George thinks Croatia's going to win. I don't know about that, bro. I'm going to be honest. I don't think Croatia beat Brazil. I think Brazil are the favourites by far. And I think it's going to be them into the semi-finals on this one quite comfortably. Now, I want to move on to an interesting game between Netherlands and Argentina. I don't know why they got a picture of Ake out of every player that they could have picked. They put Messi on there and Gakpo or something, but they got a picture of Ake and Gomez. But this one's interesting because a lot of people are going with Argentina. They think that they will turn up against the better teams. They obviously have Lionel Messi, who is the GOAT. Let's just get it right. He is the GOAT. He is and always will be the GOAT of football, in my opinion. Cristiano Ronaldo, don't even bother mentioning him. When you talk about stats, when you talk about specific appearances and what the players done or achieved, he has achieved. We've got Lewis coming on soon as well. He's going to come and chill with us in a bit. He has achieved more than him. He's achieved more than him, stats-wise, in every way. Honours, goals. I think hat-tricks are the same. It's got more assists than Ronaldo. He is the GOAT. There's no doubt that he is the GOAT. However, this Netherlands team is a very balanced, organised team. And they do like to play the low block. And we saw with Van Dijk, Nathan Ake, Dumfries, De Jong, with Gakpo and Depay playing on the counter, that they can cause problems. And I think that providing Holland don't allow Argentina to score quick or early, then I think Holland may beat Argentina. And I'm talking about 40, 50, 60 minutes, still 0-0. I can see them going on the counter and nicking one. I can see that happening. So for me, I'm going to go with Argentina on this one specifically. I think Argentina will get the job done. It'll be right. It'll be tight. It'll be a tight game. Yeah. I fancy an upset room with Argentina Brazil semis. I think it could be a Holland versus Brazil semis, and that's what I'm going for. Holland versus Brazil semis. Gakpo is going to thrash Argentina. Yeah, I agree. I think they're going to win 1 or 2-0 Holland. That's just my opinion, guys. Just my opinion. And then we've got the dark horses in Morocco versus Portugal. Now, this is an interesting one because Morocco, I think, are quite a good team on paper. All right, they sit back and defend, which you'd expect them to do against the better teams. But I just think this Moroccan team, they're not great. I mean, striker-wise, not great. Hakimi, I think, is having a great World Cup. But Ziyech's playing well. Arabat in the middle is playing very well, solid defensively. Depends how many injuries they've got because we know they had a couple of injuries in the last game round. If they can get their players back in, I think they can give Portugal a problem. However, we see Cristiano Ronaldo not start in the last game round. Ramos did. Surprised Chelsea haven't been linked with Ramos yet. I'm surprised we ain't signing Ramos. From what we've seen with Ramos, I think he was starting obviously in this game as well. They look better, more fluid, more of an understanding, more dangerous. They have the players, the personnel, and on paper they should beat this Morocco team. However, this Morocco team will get stuck in. They'll make it hard. They press well. They're physically strong. So I don't know is the answer to this for this one. Most people would say Portugal on this one. I think if Morocco win, I think it's going to be like a 1-0 scrape win where they just get that one chance and they take it and then they just defend. Other than that, if Portugal score early and they get that early goal, then I can see maybe 2-0, 3-0 against this Moroccan team. So I'm gonna throw it out there. I'm going for Morocco. I'm going for Morocco, guys. Morocco to beat Portugal. And then we've got the big one. England versus France. Kylian Mbappe. Mbappe and co, shall I say. Now, a lot of the French media, a lot of the French people in general, creators, content creators, etc., are getting very hyped at the moment that this England team have no identity and they feel that their French team will comfortably beat England. They don't see no threat. They don't see no threat from England. They're not worried about England. And they think that they can basically just blow us away comfortably. Now, I've got to disagree with that. And I am obviously English. I'm an English fan. And I don't think we're the greatest. Don't get me wrong. On our day, we can be very good, but also we can be very bad. But you look at this France team and the amount of injuries that they do have. All right, they still have great players in the team. All right, and ultimately, Kylian Mbappe is one of them players that we've got to be wary of.
Up the Chelsea.
Up the Chelsea. Got to be wary of. However, if we can contain the man himself, Kylian Mbappe, and we win the midfield battle, and I'm talking about Rabiot's not a great midfielder. Tchouaméni is a good midfielder, but he's playing in the DM role. And then you look at what they have in front of him, Griezmann. Obviously, I feel that Declan Rice can contain him. I feel that Luke Shaw can deal with Dembele, providing that there's support down that wing for him. Ultimately, the hardest thing for me is not even Giroud, because I think Maguire physically can deal with Giroud. It's just containing Kylian Mbappe, and in England, when they do get their chances, taking them. Because they will make chances, England. This French team allow chances. We need an A-game performance from England from top to bottom, don't get me wrong. But I do feel that England will have moments. And for the France media, the content creators, the journalists, to be coming out on Twitter and saying that England have no identity and that they feel that this is pretty much going to be a piss in the park, that they're not worried about England one bit. They don't look at them as a threat. This is going to be a walk in the park. I think it's a bit too much, in my opinion. We're not fucking we're not a bad team. We've got good players on paper. Our squad depth is very good. I agree. Sometimes we can play absolutely shit, but on our day, we can beat any team in this World Cup, in my opinion. Lewis, a lot of the French journalists, the outlets, the content creators are looking down on England, just saying that they're not even it's not even a thing. They're not worried about it. You know, England have no identity. They don't see where the threats are going to come from. Do you think they've got a point, or do you think that they're just trying to like build up this like rivalry before the game sort of thing?
Yeah, first off, big up, Jem, my guy. Hope
Yeah.
you're good. Your sofa has never looked better, man. Have to appreciate the redecorating and all of that. But yeah, on the England game, uh, oh, no scarf, no scarf, man. You've done a great job. I put that shit back down, man. Put it back down, bruv. Fucking hell.
This guy came on, and this is why Flick is a fraud. This guy
He
came
was
on
the first
and
to leave,
scored
bruv.
and scored 2 goals and could have scored 3 or 4
Man
if
got one
we'd
game
have
and
brought
got
him on
benched,
earlier.
bruv.
One of our own, King Kai Havertz, should have played him, but didn't get played. And that is ultimately why Germany went out, because
He
this
got
guy
benched, and the guy he
doesn't
got
play.
benched for scored
He got
against
benched for
Spain. We
Muller,
don't
who
want to
done
hear
fuck
it,
all.
bruv.
He done
We don't
fuck
want to
all. This
hear
guy
it.
came on,
A
King Kai,
generational bench
and
warmer, bruv.
listen, did he not score goals when he came on? Was
2
he not
goals
the
against a
difference?
tired Costa
Was
Rica
he not the
side. Is this what
difference?
we're going to
Was he
do?
not the difference? King Kai.
Against Costa Rica, bruv, that team deserved to go out. Disgrace.
Respect your players,
Disgrace.
one. Respect your players.
I'll respect our players when we're in a respectable position in the table, my guy. Until then, anyone can get it.
Just respect
Anyone
your.
can
We
get
haven't
it.
got to Chelsea yet. Stay on England and France. We're coming
Yeah,
to
on
Chelsea.
England, like, it's a bit of both. It's a bit. I understand the confidence. France is better than England. Let's just call it what it is. In terms of the system, in terms of the player by player, I see it. Like, I think France are going to beat England, but I also don't think England are just going to bend over and get battered for 90 minutes, and they definitely can get a result too. They shouldn't be too confident, because all it would take is a string of mistakes in game, and
Yeah.
I think England can be capable of capitalizing, but it all depends on how they set up. If they set up defensively and they try and hit them on transition, which is where England look like their best, they could get a result. And I don't think it would be like shock of the century for England to do it. Their team's good enough. I just think France have too much quality in this sort of game, and I expect them to show it even if we defend well, because I do think there's holes in our defense that can be exposed. There's holes in our midfield that can be exposed, but I think it'll be a lot tighter than some France content creators are making it out to be. This game isn't going to be a walk in the park for France at all, but if I'm being realistic, they still go through.
Who's your 4 to go through to the semis from the games that are obviously brought up on here? Because obviously you said France on them. Who's your other 3 out of them?
Brazil, Argentina, Morocco v Portugal. I ain't sure, that could be
Yeah,
either one.
I agree.
That could be either team.
Yeah,
Because Morocco know how to set up, and they can go the course as well. They showed it against Spain. They can defend for 120 minutes if they need to. Portugal, they looked a lot better without Ronaldo. They could easily still be able to pick open that sort of defense, but it could go either way. Morocco are looking like the dark horses for me, so I got no reason to think they can't hold it through to another shootout.
I wasn't disrespecting Rabiot. I just don't rate him. I think he's having a good World Cup. I actually think he's done quite well in the games that he's played for France. However, I don't think France have really played anyone of quality. They lost. Who did they lose to? Tunisia, but they played a second team, so you can't really big them on that. But they haven't really played anyone of quality that will put them under the press on the ball. That have equally probably good, better players. I think in midfield. I think Bellingham and Rice is going to be interesting up against Rabiot and Tchouameni, in my opinion. Win the midfield. Ultimately, that gives us an advantage and will allow us to create more in the game going forward. And then we just need people like Harry Kane just to wake up and just take their chances, and who's he going to pick? Is he going to play Foden? Is he going to play Foden, Saka, and Kane again? I
It's
would.
going to have to be. I can't see him making any changes from the last 2 games.
Do you
That's
not
been
feel that?
England's best performances.
Do you not feel that Rashford deserves to get an opportunity on his performance?
He didn't start the last game, did he?
No, but the game before he scored. He scored a couple of goals, didn't he? He was all right, and then he got benched.
Yeah, actually, no, that's confusing. I don't know why he got benched, but Kane, Saka, Foden, I'd still keep him on the bench personally. I think that front three is better.
Well, when you look at the French team, let's go back to one of their games. So let's go back to Poland in the round of 16. I think we can get the lineups right. So this is ultimately how they set up, right? They play with a back 4, so they play like a 4-2-3-1. All right, that's how they set up. I think England do a 4-3-3. So ultimately, it's going to sort of be of the same. When you look at the defense, they've got Hernandez, who ultimately is a better attacker than he is a defender. Upamecano, who I still don't rate as a defender. I think he's good, but I don't think he's amazing like people made him sound a couple of years ago. Rafael Varane for me is not the same defender, even though I feel, there is a defender in him. I don't think he's that Real Madrid type defender anymore. And I think Jules Koundé as a right back he can do it again. Don't get me wrong. I just don't think it's his most favoured position in a four. But when you look at that, playing Foden and Saka, kind of get Saka because I feel like he would dribble. Do you know what I mean? But what worries me is we ain't got anyone running in behind. And if you play someone like Rashford, who's direct and who's got the speed to run in behind these defence, it will create space. I just sometimes when I look at Foden and Saka on the pitch, I feel sometimes they don't do that. They don't run behind. They like to come deep and do link play, and then do you know what I mean? Like work the way up the pitch that way. I want players that can get behind this defence. Do you know what I mean? And stretch them. And I'm not too sure if Foden will do that. Will Foden outpace Koundé? I don't think so. Personally, but I don't know. It's a weird one.
No, but I think he'd be better technically on the ball, and he'd have a better chance of beating him. It all depends on the style of the player, innit?
Yeah, I would go, in my opinion, I'd go with Saka on the right because I think him against Hernandez would be problems. I think I wouldn't play Foden this game. I know people say, "Oh, but Foden." I would actually go with Rashford on the left, just to be direct and running behind and you know what I mean? That's what
I see the vision. I see it. I don't think it's a crazy take to make either. It all just depends on what you want on that left-hand side.
I think Bellingham, Henderson, and Rice will be the midfield. I don't think that changes.
Yeah.
But ultimately, the big question, Lewis, and let's talk about Kylian Mbappe before we go into Chelsea. Do you stick to the four, which England have played all the way through this tournament, and sacrifice the fact that you may leave space behind for this guy to run into? Or do you go into a three where you're more secure and have wing backs? So, you protect your sort of spaces more, if that makes sense, by doing that.
I'd understand if we played a 5, but I think it would make more sense for England to play a 4 because I think they'll lose the midfield. They'll guarantee to lose the midfield battle if they play 3 at the back. And defensively, I still think there's going to be holes that can be exposed whether you play a 5 or whether you play a 4. So you might as well try and think a little bit progressively. You can still be defensively minded and play a back 4 anyway. So I'd rather England just stick to a 4.
So you want England to play how they have done all tournament, which is like this: Stones on the right, Walker on the right, Shaw off the left, the same back 4, probably the same midfield. It could be the whole same. This could be the team, barring maybe he might switch someone up front. Maybe we don't know.
Foden and Rashford. Other than that, I'd keep everything the same.
Do you think Walker's got enough to contain Mbappe though? That's the only thing.
I think Mbappe is hard to contain in general, but England need to play with some sort of ability to attack. And I think if you play a 5, they're just not going to do anything and they're going to get penned back into their own box. We might be a little bit more open, but still got to get a goal out of somewhere. And I think we'd be better in transition if we played in a 4.
Interesting. Who is it that you're going for to win the whole tournament? I think you're the same as me, aren't you, on this one? Brazil, yeah, hands down. I'm going with Brazil as well. I think they just ultimately have a better squad, the way they're playing at the moment as well. And I want to see Thiago Silva lift the World Cup. That's one of the main reasons why I want Brazil to win it. Because if it ain't England, I want it to be Brazil. I really do. I really think he deserves it. And I think he's been awesome, isn't he?
He's already one of the best centre-backs of all time, but that's another big notch onto his legacy. We need it.
Yeah, it cracks me up when they talk about Cristiano Ronaldo in his age, but they always seem to forget to talk about the man that's 2 years older than him and he's nearly 39, nearly 40, who's playing at the level that he is for Brazil. And I don't think they've conceded a goal. Have they conceded a goal? Yeah, Brazil? I can't even remember.
Only the Cameroon game.
Yeah. So, him and Marquinhos have played together for PSG. There's a relationship there. They understand each other. But he never looks out of favour. And do you know what, Lewis? And this is going to Chelsea, and we're going to go into Chelsea now as well. What is the one thing that Chelsea fans used to bang on so much about Thiago Silva? He can't play in the back 4. What's he doing at the moment in the World Cup?
What's he playing in the back 4? We can even go further back than that. We were playing back 4 towards the end of the World Cup, and he was still one of our best players. It's a load of waffle, man. I think the sooner we go to a back... I don't like it because the midfield and the attacking issues aren't good enough. But in terms of the way we set up a lot better when we're in a back 4. Yeah. Silva doesn't drop in form. You get more out of Koulibaly because he looks a lot better in a back 2. If only we had a bit more creativity up top, I think a back 4 would be perfect for us. But we're stuck in the middle with both of them because our team just has zero cohesion.
I agree, mate. I agree. And we're going to talk about Chelsea now. Moving away from the World Cup. That was a quick 20 minutes on that. I want to talk about what's going on with Chelsea and around some of the news. Obviously, we've got the transfer window coming up in January, so there'll be lots to be talking on here. Chelsea on the pitch as well will be back. Lots of games to be played, along with likes of Man City, Bournemouth, Nottingham Forest. Loads of games to be played on the back of the World Cup as well. We might not even see Thiago Silva-Lewis for if he wins the final. He won't be around for the first probably couple games. He'll be on the piss, won't he? No, he won't. He don't drink. From
Oh, no, he'd be back a bit late anyway. He might actually miss the first game. I'm not sure now.
We will see. We will see. Guys, over 100 of you here. Big up to every single one of you guys that are here. I know we haven't got enough likes though. So everyone, if you haven't hit the thumb, please hit the thumb now.
Hit the likes, bruv. Less of this
likes.
Chelsea conversion rate, bruv.
Yeah, hit the likes, please, as always. And yeah, go and follow Lewis as well on Carefree Lewis G. Go and check him out as well. You've been quite consistent. I'll give it to you. This whole World Cup, you've been doing streams constantly.
It's been a fucking struggle, bruv. Yeah, I know. Get me Chelsea back, even if we stink.
Mate, I'm struggling now to be able to just put a stream together. I'm not gonna lie, but
bro,
it is what it
is. It's long, man. It is fucking long. At least 2 more weeks and we're done. We're done.
Yeah, exactly. And then we can get back, get our crowd back, get the community all involved again, talking Chelsea.
And we can lose every week. Yes. Yeah, exactly. I can't wait.
Big up to Couch Critic in the house, my boy. Nice to see you. It's been a minute. It has been a minute, bro. I haven't seen you in a while. Again, the World Cup is kind of stopped us being able to be sociable in many ways on YouTube, and it's great to be obviously back in the swing of things. Like I said, things will be picking up again normally. But Lewis, I want to talk about this real quickly. Obviously, Chelsea owners remain committed to Graham Potter, even if the club miss out on the top 4 finish and Champions League qualification this season. As a Chelsea fan, our expectations will always be that we should get Champions League. But do you not feel that this time round, maybe Chelsea not getting Champions League based on transition might be better, in fact, of not having to play as many games and being able to actually sort the squad out and maybe play less games and try and, finesse the system or whatever it is that Graham Potter wants to do moving forward?
I don't think people should be going Potter out over where we finish this season, because I've kept saying the squad is just shit. Just call it what it is. And I don't understand why people expect Potter to run miracles with this team when we never played well under Tuchel with this squad either. And I keep trying to ram this into people's heads because we're having this recency bias where we're pretending we were amazing under Tuchel, like we weren't dog shit 9 times out of 10 for all of 2022. I don't blame them for remaining committed because, number one, if they sack Graham Potter, they look clueless. And I run out of any faith in our board. Because what the hell did you sack Tuchel for if you're not giving his replacement any time? Yeah. But also, do you not even think we're making top 6, let alone top 4? Let's be a little bit realistic about things. Like, we're not good enough. We're not good enough. We need to go backwards. We need to rebuild and we need to start again. So I don't blame them. I actually rate the owners for coming out and doing this because they're not putting any pressure on Graham Potter for this season because it would be unrealistic because our team is shit. And we rebuild and start again. But if we even get top 6, Graham Potter's a genius, personally.
I don't think it's that bad, personally. And I'll tell you why.
Do you think we make top 6?
I don't think it's that bad. I think sometimes as a fan base, I think we kind of overreact in the moment. And I think when you look at where we are at the moment and how we've been playing, obviously in the back of the 4 losses, I understand it. It's atrocious the way we are, what we're doing. I get all that. So I'd understand the frustration. But when I think about how the World Cup came round, actually it being kind of a blessing in terms of allowing us to bring personnel back in. I think Reece James improves this squad. I don't think we lose 4 games in a row in this next part of the season with a fit squad for Fofana, Reece James, the likes of the fact that N'Golo Kante might be available at some point as well. Ben Chilwell's on his road to recovery. Seen him running on treadmills. That is strengthening the squad. We will be a better squad with them players back in at some point.
It won't be a top 4 squad though.
Mate, listen, that's up for debate. I still think that we can get top 4, even in this bad form that we've seen, but it's going to need us to really kick on. And we're going to need to start building up some consistent performances and wins. You look to what's happened with Arsenal in losing Gabriel Jesus, and for how many games we don't know. That could be a bit of a problem for them going into this next part. People are going to get their moments of blips. I don't think they've had them yet as well. So
I get that, but
Yeah.
we also got to look with us as well. Reece James will improve us, but is that going to be enough improvement to get us top 4? I don't believe it. I don't know what two sides drop out of the top 6 for us to even get into a top 4 race.
Mm.
And I think just overall as a squad, we're not cohesive enough. We're not creative enough. We aren't clinical enough. Our only real saving grace last season was our defense, and we ripped that up. And now we have a defense that's less cohesive. And now we're just leaking goals for fun every game. We got Man City and Liverpool in our first 6 games back. If we lose our next game to Bournemouth, we could potentially drop to 11th, let alone go upwards. I don't see us making top 4 at all. I think if we even make top 6, I'd be really surprised.
We had this same thought process when Thomas Tuchel took over Chelsea on the back of Frank Lampard being sacked, and we were 8th at that point. He got us top 4.
Different squad.
Yeah, but I get that. But along with having a fitter squad, which we did have in the second part of the season, and N'Golo Kante was awesome. Kai Havertz stepped up in that next part of the season as well, and others, all of them, they all played well in that part of the season. You know what I mean? Like, it's not that it's annoying because we haven't got an absolutely atrocious squad. We haven't. I don't think we have an atrocious squad. I
beg to differ.
I think we just have a squad that lacks mentality. However, put some performances together, get some wins in, start building a bit of a run, play a system that actually benefits the players. If it means you stick to a same 11, these are things that Graham Potter's going to have to do in this next part. What he can't do is keep interchanging the system. We can't keep seeing change. It's not going to work that way for me. We need to just stick with something and just go with it, in my opinion.
I kind of agree, but I just think anything we try has holes. I don't rate any midfield we put out. I barely rate any attack we put out. I don't trust either of our goalkeepers.
Yeah, but
where's the faith? I understand
injuries is a problem.
Yeah, Reece James will be back. I don't think that will change a lot, but we'll play a bit better as a result of that. N'Golo Kante ain't back till February. Fofana and Chilwell aren't even guaranteed to be back for the first game back.
Yeah.
Even then, like Fofana solidifies us a little bit, but that defense still doesn't have a complete understanding of themselves, and that's going to take time, and that's also going to lead to a little bit of leakiness. Ben Chilwell, why are we acting like Ben Chilwell's had a good season? He hasn't had a good season. We understand this because he's coming back from his ACL. I've said I'll give him this season. I'm fine with that. I understand that he's going to have a very long comeback, but let's not sugarcoat things and act like he's been good this season. He has not. He's been crap.
No,
so why are we acting like that's going to improve us? It's not.
I mean, ultimately, I don't think he's had a good season. I remember when we went to the Villa game away, I thought that was one of his worst performances, in my opinion. Especially when he just took too long on the ball, wasn't releasing the ball quick enough. Ultimately, he just didn't look fit, is my opinion. He just didn't. He doesn't look like he's there yet in himself. But you look at before Reece James got injured in the small part of when Graham Potter was winning back-to-backs, and I'm talking about the Champions League period as well. We looked okay, didn't we? We beat Milan back-to-back convincingly in different ways, didn't we?
Yeah, so everything had an asterisk on it. Yeah, we played Wolves without a manager and an injury-prone AC Milan side. But
the standard of that performance can happen with this team. The issue with it is they don't want to be consistent in doing it. We lose a player here and there, and the balance goes completely. We
have a defense we have a midfield that can get ripped apart on transition and can't create anything. We have 10s that can't create. Our strikers get no service. Like there's a lot of cohesive issues in this squad.
Maybe you're right, Josh.
And yeah, Mo, I was creaming over those performances because do you see how down bad we've been this season? Well, we have been atrocious 9 times out of 10 this season. God forbid I celebrate a few rare wins and the odd run of form that we barely have.
However,
do you want me to be miserable throughout the season? Fucking hell, bro.
Could this World Cup come as a blessing in terms of Graham Potter's vision of players? Because Christian Pulisic's had a very good World Cup. Hakim Ziyech, who I think is going to go anyway, has looked okay in Morocco. They're half decent anyway. Mason Mount hasn't really played, has he? Since he's what game did he get taken off on? He had a good first
The
game, and then
US,
the
US.
the USC taken out of the game. So my point is, players that were maybe not as favoured, maybe fitting them in the system or a system like the before that would supposedly want to play. Could we see a better Chelsea going into the next part? Maybe, but what I'm saying is maybe the vision of what he's seen in the World Cup of players and their performances can show him that he can get a performance out of them. He's just got to find the way to get the best out of them, if that makes sense. And maybe he'll do that from the back of someone like Christian Pulisic, who should maybe start games, for example, and that will help, But
He's got to start Pulisic. Like, I've been screaming for that since mid-October.
Yeah,
and we're atrocious because we are unbalanced. This is the problem with some of our fan base, where they just try and sugarcoat the way we are by using better words to describe it. Oh no, we're not crap. We're just unbalanced. Why do you think we're crap? Because we're unbalanced. Like, what do you want? If we weren't unbalanced, we would be a lot better.
That unbalance comes with injuries as well. Because, and again, and I keep talking about Reece James, but you take him out of the team, who comes in? Who comes in?
We were unbalanced before that. Tuchel literally said before the season started, "We are not ready."
No, we know that. We know that. I knew we were.
Why are we not surprised with where we are?
I ain't. No, I knew this. I even said in the summer window that we need. This is not what we bought in. Wasn't enough. It was nowhere near enough. I don't think people actually fully understand the extent of the flushing that we need to do in this squad. I don't think people understand. But then people go,
but we spent injuries. Fucking hell, man. We could have our full squad back. We'd still barely be creative. We'd still barely take chances. We'd still get ripped apart in transition.
Is it a good enough team to get
we waffling? No.
Well, we say that, but we've got.
I said that at the start of the season, bro. This isn't just because we're in bad form. I haven't been confident since the summer. The squad ain't ready. The manager said it ain't ready. We didn't go for a midfielder until fucking deadline day. We still didn't bring creators in. We still don't take chances consistently. Our defense has got worse. Our goalkeepers have got worse. And our midfielders got worse. Why do people think it's just because of a couple of injuries?
Well, losing Fofana it makes you worse, ultimately. Let's be serious. Yeah, he's a strength, isn't he?
Yeah, but we brought in Trevor Chalobah and nothing changed. Like, Chalobah's been class for us. He's been our best centre-back.
But it has changed because Thiago Silva's been overplayed because we've not been able to make substitutions, again, because we've got injuries. So what I'm saying is it does affect the team still. Because you've got to remember, how many games we're playing a week? 2 games a week? Plus every week? I remember one point.
What are we going to be doing when we come back? Playing 2 games a week again?
But in 8 days, we play 3 games. In 8 days.
We're going to be doing that again, bro.
That's fine, but my point is having players back from injuries, important players, is going to help the squad. It's going to help the depth. It's going to help the rotation. Yeah,
it'll help with rotation. It won't help with the ability or the application of a lot of those players.
Yeah, that consistency is a different story. We know that especially in the forward line, we know
people are just using injuries as an excuse to hide over everything.
Let's see if Jesus' injury doesn't unbalance Arsenal. We'll see.
It will unbalance Arsenal because they're a much smaller squad. We all knew after a few injuries Arsenal were going to fall off. Why do you think I don't care about them being top of the league right now?
Yeah, facts. Yeah.
But why do we even care about Arsenal? They're 16 points ahead of us. We're not pulling that back.
Well,
I fucking wish we did. I have £100 bet on that, but it's not happening.
Never say never, Lewis. Football, mate. Football can surprise you. Trust me.
If that happens, then give Potter another 5 years.
Reece James is not quite fully training, but he's integrating into training along with Wesley. Wesley Fofana is a little bit further behind, but not too far. So Graham Potter's words, from what I understand, in terms of where they are. Obviously, we know they're away in Abu Dhabi. I think they are. Reece James is ahead of all of them. Fofana's not far behind. I believe Fofana and Kepa, from what I read, are at the same in terms of their progressions of where they are. And N'Golo Kante is progressing as well within that as well. But again, he's not anywhere near the level where Reece James is at the moment in terms of his injury. So these are important players. Ben Chilwell's another one who's running on a treadmill again, which is good to see. At least he's running. Do you know what I mean? So these are all good things. However, it's going to be ultimately a very big second part of the season, and we're going to be playing a lot of games. These months are going to be flooded with games. It's going to be to and from one stadium to another. We're going to lose, we're going to draw, we're going to win games, but ultimately we need to consistently start trying to win games because we've lost too many on the back of on the back of of what's happened with the loss of the 4 games that we have prior to the World Cup. So there is pressure, because the pressure is we've lost 4 games in a row. Coming back in from that, we need to kick on. I want to see a run of wins. At the same time, we'll probably lose games in between that. It's going to happen. Prepare yourselves. It will happen. Potter's got a big
season,
job.
bro.
He's got a big job in his hand, but I wouldn't say that top 4's out the window, in my opinion. Not yet. Anyway, I don't think that's the case. Chelsea can claw back. Chelsea can get Champions League. It can happen, but ultimately, these players are going to have to
got to
turn
win
up.
it, in my opinion.
I think every player in that team, especially the forward line, should be playing for their contracts. If I was Todd Bowley and Igbali, I'd be sitting them down and I'd say, look, some of you guys, all right, this is my first season, and some of you guys are just not putting your weight. Second part of the season, you've got to kick on. Don't kick on. We're going to start looking to replace. That's the attitude I think they need to have. And then we'll see the response. We know that some will leave in Hakim Ziyech. He will go. I don't care with Hakim Ziyech. Christian Pulisic, do you want to be here or not? Show us. Kai Havertz, you going to wake up or not? Mason Mount, the same. All of them, not just even them.
No,
so
these lot want to offer Mount another contract already, which I don't get. But
whatever. But this is the attitude we should have. Graham Potter should be the same. Instead of being all pally and friendly, and sometimes I look at him and I feel, is he going to struggle because he's just going to be friends with them all? Like, he needs to be a bit stern in the way that maybe Mourinho would have been in these situations, and just been like, you know what, we're shit. Sort it out. You're shit. Play better. Do you know what I mean? Like, that attitude, like, start playing for your position. We're Chelsea Football Club. We should have players fighting for their positions, not just walking in and playing.
I do think that's the case, though, because I did see Potter experimenting over the last few games before the World Cup. Even like if some of them were weird, like that fucking Broja Mount Gallagher front three for Newcastle, at least put Pulisic in there or something. But I'm seeing him try things out, and like with a team this crap, fuck it. I don't blame you too much. And Josh, I get what you're saying here. We're also 2 points off 11th. So we can look at it both ways.
I mean, yeah, that's true as well. But at the same time, wasn't Man United that low down and ended up getting 3rd or something? So this is what I'm saying. Things can change. But Man United, when was it Lampard's season? When they done us, when they went 3rd, they were like fucking 8th and 9th at one point.
Yeah, but I remember we got saved by Project Restart. I mean, by lockdown, because we had like 9 first-team injuries and United were 2 points behind us.
Will he commit to a back 4? I don't know, Varna. I don't know whether we've got the players to do it. But ultimately, I think he's going to have to just do it and just do what he wants to do, in my opinion.
To be fair, Matt Law said he wants to play a back 4. It's just, again, like, back 4 can't really happen because we have no creativity in midfield, no creativity in attack. And we have to rely on Reece James.
Lewis, you're getting a fucking tact in this today, mate. Lewis doesn't understand attrition. It almost seems like Lewis would prefer being right instead of Chelsea making top 4. I don't want to hear Lewis talk about how he supports Chelsea when he makes top 4. And Lewis is
if we make top 4, no, because it is the thing. This is some warrior mentality that, like, I can't lie. This is what a lot of the fucking Minerals Army do. Hey, if you're wrong about this, I don't want to hear you celebrate when this player does this or when the club does this. Shut up, man. If Chelsea make top 4, I will celebrate. I will big up the players. I will big up the manager because they exceeded my expectations in this squad. I don't want to be right. I have nothing to make me think this squad can make top 4. Arsenal are better than us. City are better than us. Spurs are shit, but they've been getting results all season because their system is better than us. Liverpool are shit, but they're getting more results than us. Man United are better than us. Newcastle are better than us. So why do I think we make top 6? When we can't even string a couple of wins together. It's not about attrition. It's about the fact that I just don't think our squad is good enough.
I think at the end of the day, he'll be in the mud. Let's have it.
And I'm saying about I don't support Chelsea like I ain't had a season ticket for 3 years, bro. I pay week in and week out to watch these bums. That's why I have such a strong opinion on them. Because I invest money into this shit.
Josh says Lewis is the last guy you could say doesn't support Chelsea. Yeah, look.
Hey, I don't support Chelsea because I get pissed at players.
No. Look, at the end of the day, this is where we've got to cut this out. At the end of the day, some fans are going to feel a lot more emotional and annoyed, especially fans that may be going to games because of what they're seeing. Then maybe, I'm not saying that the guys that don't go to games don't get as annoyed, but at the same time, what I'm saying is everyone has their own opinion and how they feel about their football club. At the end of the day, Lewis is not happy with what he's seeing. I'm not even happy with what I'm seeing. But ultimately, if we ended up finishing 3rd and we won an FA Cup in this season, we'd all be happy. But it doesn't mean that we can't be happy because 4 months ago, we were upset and moaning and saying we're not going to get top 6. It doesn't work like that with football, guys. You know, it just doesn't work like that. At the end
Now,
of the
here's
day,
the thing:
we all
people
want
just think
us to win. We're all on the same team here. Everyone's on the same team. We want to
exactly.
win. Like we're
But
not against each other in this game.
people think you have to live and die by your opinions, bruv. Like, I've never said we'll make top 4 once this season. If we make top 4, I ain't in shit.
That's
He
a funny one.
supports,
Though.
he
This one's
supports
funny.
Lukaku. Oh, this is another Johnny answer. Hey, you backed Lukaku last year. You now have to blindly back everybody. Sorry, if Havertz could have a string of the consistency Christensen had in 2021, I'd have a lot more support for him. But he doesn't. Simple as. I again got told he was going to mud me in the World Cup, and he was the first Chelsea player on the flight back. So I don't want to hear shit.
I mean, Lukaku and his performance in the World Cup was fucking atrocious.
Oh, yeah. Lukaku was a disgrace, by the way. It hasn't got
yeah.
robbed of another World Cup thanks to that fucking rhino.
That is one thing.
People want to call me a Lukaku fan. Fuck him, man.
I didn't even want. I'll be honest with you. I didn't even want to be right when it comes to Lukaku. I wanted him to be that striker, like the next Costa and Drogba, but it didn't work. And I just had this feeling in my back of my head, this guy was not the right guy for our system. I just knew it. It's just shit.
Hey, bro, you were correct on that one. Like, Lukaku is an LL firm. I don't care. I got that one heavy wrong. Is what it is.
Yeah, but it probably, as much as you're going with Lukaku, Havertz could be the same. You know what I mean? Like it happens. You know what I mean? It's not that we're built to know everything about football. We go on what we feel at the time, and when we back it or we don't back it. And
exactly. Havertz could prove me wrong, and God willing, he does. But I just don't see it.
It's what it is. I still think Havertz is a top player. I just think he will go somewhere else and be that. That's all I think if he does.
That's why I think we can still get some resale value off his ass.
Yeah. All right. Moving away from that. Let's quickly this is really made me feel sick, Lewis. And this is not really much on Chelsea. It is a little bit, but we've not heard Chelsea talk about it. But apparently Real Madrid are now in initial contacts to try and sign Enzo Fernandez, and they're talking to his agent. So I'm really pissed off right now because this is the one guy.
They need another midfielder. What the fuck? Go away.
They're doing my head in. They want fucking... What was that boy they just signed? Endrick, yeah? They would have got Endrick, right? I don't mind too much about that. 60, 70 mil. That's a lot of money for a player we don't fucking know about, yeah? But this guy, this annoys me because this is one guy I want at my team. Yeah, because this like, they don't need him. Camavinga, Tchouaméni, Valverde. Where is he getting in this team? What are they doing? They're doing a Barcelona on us. I don't get this fucking Spanish teams, man.
Hoarding midfielders for the sake of it. Like I don't get it. These men are gonna be struggling for game time there. Go to another club, build your name, and if you want to use them as a stepping stone to Madrid, do it. Like that's what I thought we were gonna be with Endrick anyway. That's why I didn't care too much. But I don't get it. I don't fucking get it.
JP said he'll give you, if you come to Miami, he'll buy you a beer and give you a hug, Lewis. So he's a good guy.
I'll take you up on that offer. I'll take you up on that.
Big up to Josh. He says, we'll take Valverde. Good shout, actually. Valverde's a baller.
Please.
We'll do that. We'll do. I mean, look, if you're going to buy it... Oh, shit, I've gone. What have I done? Am I still there? Oh, I've gone. Oh, Jesus.
Oh, the camera gone.
Yeah, my camera's just died. Can you still hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you, but you just turned orange. Oh, yeah.
I've died. I've died like Enzo Fernandez. This is ridiculous, man. 2 seconds, Lewis. 2 seconds.
Yeah, and no worries. What I'll do is I'll see what the comments say. Ah, fuck, I have to switch my camera on now. I can't be asked. Right, what is everybody saying? Josh says, I thought I'd seen it all when Werner was here, but yeah, Lukaku's 5 missed sitters. That's worse than anything I've seen Havertz or Timo Werner do. And yeah, everyone else crying in the comment section because I don't think we can make top 4. You lot can hold that, bruv. I hope I'm not correct, but if I am, / when I am, you're welcome onto my stream and you can run me my apologies, and that would be fine. Take Loftus-Cheek for midfield. They ain't gonna do that. Last player they're taking is Ruben. Hey, yeah, there you are, bro. There you are.
Back, man. I'm back. I don't know what happened there. It just went orange, bro. Obviously, you disagreed with something.
Probably a wire out of place or some shit.
Yeah. But yeah, look, Enzo Fernandez, one baller that I'd like at my football club. Obviously, it's going to cost 70 or 80 million to do that. I don't see Chelsea buying him, but I'd be very excited if we did. I think he's a very good player. I think he has the abilities, the attributes, the physicality to play in the Premier League. And yeah, we need something like that in the midfield anyway, along with Declan Rice. Quickly on Declan Rice, Lewis, have you been impressed with him this World Cup, or are you still a bit with him when you look at him?
He's looked good. He's looked really good. US game was a bit poor, but it was poor from everybody. So I'm not going to hold Rice accountable for it, but he didn't look good in that one. But other than that, it's been a good tournament. And with his price tag lowering, like I'm a lot more on the Declan Rice train than I ever have been. For 70 million, I'm fine with it. My problem was always the price tag. For the money that we could potentially put for him now, I think he's a quality addition to the squad. Still more of a box to box than a DM for me. I think we still need to get more of a natural sitting DM, but Rice comes in, he improves our squad. So I'm all for the transfer now. I don't think the transfer is unrealistic. West Ham want to try and create a bidding war, but if Rice wants to come to Chelsea, there shouldn't be any debate over it, and he should just be trying to make it as hard for West Ham to pull any sort of bidding war, any other club's interest as possible. But we have to see how it goes.
Well, Pius feels quite confident that Chelsea will get it done in the summer, which is going to be an interesting one to see whether that happens. But again, it's going to fall down to priorities because I think we're going to have a good summer window. But it's going to some of the things I'm hearing, especially the bigger journalists saying, I'm not taking too much from it, but it sounds like we want centre backs again. It's like, oh, we're interested in centre backs, not wing backs. We need more centre backs. We need Gavardiol, and Gavardiol is a great player. Don't get me wrong, but is Thiago Silva staying? Because if he's going, I understand it. But if he's staying, and we have Fofana, we have Koulibaly, we have Chalobah, Azpilicueta signed a 2-year contract, are we going to spend 70 million on a defender in the summer? Is that the right priority to have? Bearing in mind, we know that we need to sort out the forward line, the midfield, whatever else we know that we need to sort out. What do you think?
I think with Vardiol, the biggest thing is his versatility too, because he could play left wing back and left back if we needed to. I don't think we should be focusing on defense or spending that much money in defense, but I can understand it for a player of Vardiol's talent, especially with Thiago Silva potentially leaving too.
Yeah,
it all depends on the club's direction. If we lose Vardiol, I'm not going to lose too much sleep over it. If we get him, it's a great addition to the squad, but midfield still has to be the priority for me. Midfield, wing-back depth, goalkeeper. That has to be our top 3 priorities.
I see Gavardiol and Fofana be in the future, but when you got Koulibaly, who's going to be here for another at least 2 seasons, in my opinion, you got Trevor Chalobah, who signed a new contract for another 5 years, was it? I can't remember. Recently as well.
Yeah,
So, where are we going with this? Because we want to play back 4. Cool. That eliminates how many centre-backs you have in the back 4, right? When you play the back 3, you can play 3 centre-backs. Equally, you can have as many centre-backs as you want because you can always sort of switch it around because you've got, you're always playing 3. But when you're deciding to play a 4, which is supposedly what we're being told, and Silva stays, you're going to bring in Gavardiol. You've got Koulibaly, you've got Fofana, you've got Azpilicueta, you've got Silva, you've got Chalobah. What are we doing? Do you get what I mean? It doesn't make sense now. I get it next summer window or something. He might not be available then, which is why we might have to just jump on it and do it because he may go City or Real Madrid or whatever. But for me, it's always the priorities, like what needs to be done first, what improves this team, not saying he doesn't improve us, but we have problems going forward. We have problems in midfield. We have problems when Reece James gets injured. There's more problems than we have problems in the goal. We have problems in the goal right now when you think about it, because they're both not really. I mean, Kepa's on good
form. The first thing I'm thinking is, another centre-back. Come on, we spent the whole summer sorting this out last year.
We wasted it. We wasted so much time going through centre-backs. Jules Koundé, Nathan Ake, De Ligt, ended up getting Koulibaly. All right, we've got Fofana, but Fofana came at the end of all of that fucking shit that we had to go through, where Jules Koundé was close to Chelsea, but he goes Barcelona. Rafinha's close to Chelsea, but he goes Barcelona. All the shit that we had to deal with through that period. I just don't want us to be wasting time. That's all I'm saying, and I just feel like the way we've done the Nkunku deal is good because we kind of just cut the competition and just said, look, we want you. Here we go. At Leipzig, take that. And they've accepted it. Cool. Done. I like that. But doing this with Gavardiol tells me that we have to get rid of players, especially in that back part. Silva maybe doesn't stay. Azpilicueta goes. I don't know. It's a bit of a weird one for me. We'll see. Moving away from that, I just want to quickly talk about the potentials of players leaving. And obviously, Hakim Ziyech, who's having a very good World Cup, has been linked to AC Milan. Obviously, a bid apparently is going to be prepared for him to go there as well. This one, Lewis, is just a straight up, he's got to go, right? It just doesn't suit the Premier League, Hakim Ziyech, does it?
It's up to him. if he wanted to stay, like I think his stocks are at such a high point, he has to go straight into the lineup. But if he still wants to go, sell right now while the stocks are higher than it's ever been, because this is where we can get maximum output. If
Mm.
anything, see if there's other clubs that are interested, because these lot apparently are still looking for a 6-month loan fee and 15 million euros in the summer. And I think we can get more than that for Ziyech personally, especially the way he's been playing now.
How much do you
So,
think?
well, we bought him for 30 million, I think. We could easily get that back. With the way he's been playing in the World Cup, like that's usually the highest building of stocks. So it all depends on who else comes in for him, but if another club comes in and they could offer that, I'd rather go for them, especially if they could do it outright instead of the 6-month loan first. But if
Yeah.
not, just let him go to Milan. Like the biggest thing is just getting rid of him.
Yeah, I hear that. I think he needs to go. I agree with you. However, I think this World Cup's come at a good time for us because players that are not of value, and I keep saying this, and I said this yesterday on Lorenz's channel, we're talking about buying 50 million, 60 million, 70 million. But what is it that we have of profit that we can actually sell? Because we're not just going to keep buying. Ultimately, we're going to have to try and do some sort of balancing to be able to bring and recoup players, right? So we know Ziyech's not wasn't of many major value before. We were talking about 20 million for him before the World Cup. You know, Christian Pulisic, people were laughing when we said 50 million or even 30 million, whatever it was for him, you know. You said Kai Havertz holds value. I agree, partly due to his age. You know, someone will probably take him for at least 50 mil, but we don't really hold many players of value. And I look at like Jorginho and Kante coming to the end of their contracts. We're going to lose them for free. Where are we recouping any money out of this current squad that we're going to sell on? We're not.
I'm not too sure. I do still think one of Jorginho or Kante stays. So people won't like it. I think Jorginho would be the most likely to stay out of the two. But there still needs to be a rebuild, regardless in the entire midfield and the attack. Like I get, we're gonna lose money in a lot of these areas, but Roman left us debt free. That shouldn't be anything for the new owners to worry about. It's just how much money can you bring in, and how much of that can you use to bring in ingoings. So
Mm.
I don't think losses should impact us too much because again we're debt free. We shouldn't worry too much about that.
True, that's true. At the same time, we are a rich, rich owned by rich owners that have got the money to spend, and they do that. That makes sense, but they're not going to keep spending. Is what I'm saying. Ultimately, they're going to want a return in revenue at some
Yeah,
point. You know, so
yeah.
spending 300 million, 300 million, 300 million doesn't really work on the books, and keeping the shit that we have because we can't get rid of them. It
But
doesn't
that's
work.
why players
Yeah,
have to leave. That's
yeah,
why I'm looking at the likes of a Havertz. I'm thinking, yeah, we can get 50 million for him. Do it, and like that can get 50 million off the books. We can kind of balance the books of FFP a little bit, and yeah, it would work out well for us. You could
I
get
don't-
him, one of Ziyech or Pulisic, maybe both if Pulisic does want to leave. Which,
yeah.
by the way, it's a load of waffle that he wants to leave right now. He doesn't. He asked to go on loan. He asked for a 1-year extension to keep his resale value for the club. All he wants is game time. If we give him consistent game time, we'll see how he plays. Trial by fire, innit? If he ain't good enough, sell. If he
I
is
like,
good enough, cool. Keep
yeah.
him.
I like Casado. I think he's a good player, to be honest. I don't know how much he's in the market, to be fair, but again,
He's about 60, 70. He's saying this because we
yeah.
had Chelsea Dan on my stream yesterday saying Casiado's done and it'll be announced today. So,
Did he
yeah, I
really?
look forward.
Oh,
No,
Chelsea
no,
Dan said that.
yeah.
He's
I
a
don't know
funny.
where he got that from, but hey,
We'll see. Maybe
no,
he's
we
right.
got off a YouTube video. That's it. That's it.
Havertz 30, Ziyech 20. No, you're getting more for Havertz, in my
You're
opinion.
getting way more, way
Yeah,
more.
yeah, easily. That is still to be negotiated, Ardy. I'm not sitting here talking about 300k Mason Mount.
If we do that, though, if we fucking do that, man, I'm gonna lose my head at
What's
at
wrong?
the
He's the poster boy of Chelsea. He's the image of this football club.
And that's why we're eighth, bro. That is why we're eighth, man. Like 200, I'd firm if he's in good form. If we give him anything above that and he's playing like shit, we're not a serious club. We're not a serious
But
club
let's be
anymore.
serious. Mason, I know, and we're going to do a real short talk on Mason Mount because I hate talking about him at this point. It
Yeah,
just gets boring. But let's be serious. He's not a bad player. Let's not make him sound like he's crap. Mason Mount is a very good player in a specific system that works. I think he can play in different systems. Ultimately, I don't think he can be consistent in it. I just think that he is a system player. And I think that you need players like Mason Mount at Chelsea, in my opinion.
That's why, to me, I'd keep him as a squad role right now. I'm never thinking sell Mason Mount, but I'm thinking stop acting like this guy is carrying our team on our back, because he's not. And if he is, he's falling on his ass.
He did, though.
And that's why we're eighth.
When you think about the 2 seasons prior to that, who was one of our most important players? All right, let's start with his first season at Chelsea. All right. How good was he for Chelsea? I mean, bearing in mind, we had no real standard of him because we didn't know what to expect. He came from Derby, he walked into Chelsea. We had Tammy Abraham up front. He played behind him. I thought he was amazing. I'll be honest with you.
Yeah. For the standard, I agree. Like his first 2 seasons, I ain't saying nothing about. Last season, I think he kind of hid his performances behind goals and assists, which is fair enough. 30 GNA in a season speaks for itself, but I still thought he was very inconsistent. This season, though, the goals and assists are dried up, and all the stuff that you're using to mask behind it has disappeared too. He just doesn't look good enough. He disappears in games, loses the ball a lot, more times than he makes successful passes in half of the games. And if he ain't doing that, he's just ghosting, but he's top of the distance covered stat.
As soon as you start talking about
bare minimum.
Yeah. As soon as you start talking about Mason Mount, you cut for a second. But yeah, it stopped. But yeah. I hear it.
Thanks, Johnny.
Johnny's got into the internet and he's tapping away like
every damn time. Big up yourself anyway, G.
Yeah, big up. Yeah, look, it's I agree with what you're saying. He hasn't been great this season. However, arguably no one has, and I think we look at him being sometimes, and this is where it's our problem. And I'm talking about the fan base, our problem, because we do this. This is what we do. Not all of us, but whatever. But we kind of paint this picture that he has to be the one that has to like make something happen, or be that one, or be an Eden Hazard at Chelsea. Like it's that sort of image that we paint of him that he isn't that.
But it's the way the media and the club put him up as well. Like the first Chelsea player since Eden Hazard to have your own banner flying around Stamford Bridge. Like, come on, like he's done well the first 2 years, but stop treating him like a legend when he ain't a legend already.
No, he's not.
The way the media and the club put him at the face of the club. They're the one that put him on that pedestal, and the fans take the PR and they feed off it. So they have the same narrative as well. They're very easy to put Reece James on that pedestal. Very easy.
I've already had this conversation. I've said this many times, even to Johnny. I've said that I feel that Reece James has a higher ceiling. I've said this for a very long time in terms of where he can go and ability. I think Mason Mount can be and will be, if he can, become a better player than what he is, and he will do, I feel. But I look at Reece James' ceiling, and I just think that he can be world class, if that makes sense. Even though I feel he is nearly that anyway, in my opinion. He's that good. But, look, this is no diss to Mason Mount. At the end of the day, I want him at Chelsea. I've never once said I don't want Mason Mount at Chelsea. I just feel that when you look at what we have and around him and how bad it actually is, especially when we get some injuries, what are you expecting from him sometimes? And I know we can say with the basics and whatever, but he's not an Eden Hazard.
Not even that, just be more creative.
Yeah, but is he a creator in that sense?
That's what we're told. Best creative outlet at Chelsea.
Well,
Number one, all of the attacking stats and all of this.
Stats say he is. However, I still don't feel that he's a main ability as a player is to be a creator. That's not what I think he is, in my opinion.
I think he's just more pure work rate and jack of all trades, master of none. That's why like everyone makes these Mason Milner jokes. Shit, I see it, man. Like he would be my squad player. Put him into any position that you need, fill in a role. He'd be my Ruben in a Chelsea squad that's at the end of its process. He'd be our Ruben. Just put him in a position that you need to fill. He'll do a job for 90 minutes. And he'd be good.
I don't think he's ever Ruben in any part of Ruben's season. I think he's
No. I mean, like the way you utilize Ruben as a squad player. Like, oh shit, we ain't got a wing back. Throw Ruben in there. Oh shit, we need a midfielder. Throw Ruben in there. That would be my role for Mount.
Yeah, we did. He did do that, and these are things that we all won't forget. It sits in our history. It does sit in our history. That's the one thing I will say. We can't.
I knew it wouldn't take long for a Champions League argument. Fucking hell, man.
Let's not do it. I don't even want to sit here and talk.
You man make the Champions League win so unlikable sometimes. You know that.
So this is my thing with Mason Mount, and this is how I'm going to say it straight up. And this is what I say most times to people. when it comes to people on both sides, he's great. He's shit. I disagree with both. I sit in the
Same.
middle of this, right?
He's a squad player.
And why I say that is because I find it very hard to judge him in what we currently have at the moment. I think what he has done in his first 2 seasons have been very good. He set the standard himself a little bit to show, look, I can play to this level. This is what I can do. And that's on him. And it's down to him to find that and better that. However, where it becomes a problem for me is that we as Chelsea Football Club are expecting this club to improve, right? Each and every season, we're going to strengthen the squad. We're going to bring in better, hopefully better quality players to fit the system that Potter wants to play. Yeah. So ultimately, what are we going to get moving forward? Consistency. We're going to start seeing that we're closing the gap. This is what we're hoping, closing the gap to Man City and whatever. The question mark then comes for me with Mason Mount is that when Chelsea improve as a squad, as a team, everything, and we move forward and that first core 11 becomes stronger because we've got better players, it's going to be down to him to hold his spot and show us what he is and how and you know and what he can do. That's when the judgments come of Mason Mount, because he's eventually Chelsea will get better. I'm hoping and praying that we're going to become a better squad, and we should be in terms of progressing, because we're not anywhere where we need to be right now in terms of touching the top. So once we start getting close to that, and the fine margins then come into play, yeah, because we will have a main 11, we will start playing the same 11 because we will find consistency. Yeah, it will come. Yeah, is he going to be a part of that? Is he going to be that good to be able to force himself into the team and be a part of that main 11? That's when we will start talking about Mason Mount.
That's why I'm not sure, but we'll have to see.
That's
Right now, I think in my squad, Mason Mount would be a bench player, and I'd be fine with that. It'd be good depth, but that's about it.
Not at the moment. He plays for me, in my opinion.
Yeah, but right now we're shit. I mean, if we're talking about a team at the end of its process competing for titles, I don't know if Mount's in my squad.
Again, it falls down to him. It falls down to him and what he shows on the pitch. Because if he shows,
you just got to be more creative, or at least better with your passing.
But just be better in his overall performance. It's not about being just creative. It's about him just being him. In terms of, like you said earlier, he's not great at just one thing. He's great at doing so many different things. And him being in a team where he benefits from that, and we see the best of everything from him, and he just flows. The word is flow with Mason Mount, in my opinion. He just flows and it works. It looks good, and he works hard off the ball, on the ball. When that all works and we get that system, I think he can get in this team, but he has to show.
That's the only thing we can credit with him, that he works hard. Yeah. In terms of the ability on the ball, decision making ain't good enough. Passing ain't good enough. Shooting is just wayward, and he spams shots for no reason. It's like he's just trying to be Lampard. Corners, inconsistent. Set pieces, inconsistent. Just nothing except hard work. And great, it's your job.
It's not, but this is why I get frustrated with Mason Mount, because it's wrong to be talking about the way we talk about him now. I know the wages is a problem. Everyone goes 300k. Oh my god, he's not worth that. Some people feel it is. Some people ain't. I think personally, he will get what Reece James has got. That's what I think. I think both of them.
Even that is atrocious.
Well, I think
we're giving that to him for 7 years.
I'll be honest with you. I think he's looked of that stature in this club.
250k a week
within this club, but then he's going to have to play for it. It doesn't mean that because he gets paid that he then for the future always gets in the team. He's going to have to show it eventually, because this is the problem.
That exactly there is the problem.
But the pressure's there, isn't it?
He hasn't shown it, bro. And if he doesn't show it, you have a player on 250k a week to 300k until the age of 30. And every midfielder and every forward who comes into Chelsea is going to look at Mason Mount and they're going to say, I'm better than him. I can do more than him. I deserve more than him. It's the same thing Lukaku and Sterling did with Timo Werner.
Because I don't think he looks at anything else other than Chelsea, and that's the difference. I do feel that he has
ability, not like what club do you feel the most attached to? Ability, and he's not showing the ability of a 250.
Yeah, but we're talking about it now. That's why I'm saying for me it's irrelevant, because Lewis, the argument is this:
so you don't give him the contract until he plays at that level.
This weigh it out. Since Mason Mount's played for Chelsea to this point, has he been a lot better, or has he been a lot worse throughout these periods since he's been at Chelsea? In your opinion, does the good weigh out the bad? Is it even? Is the good better than the bad? What, when you look at his overall seasons at Chelsea, how do we look at it? Because at the moment we're so focused on
the good outweighs the bad, but slightly. It's not a complete overshadow, and it
So
also doesn't justify 250k a week.
again, that's
Come on, like you're giving 250k a week for 7 years to someone who hasn't shown that level consistently, and then you for the next 7 years you're going to be talking about contracts, and they're going to look at somebody who is playing worse than them, who has worse ability than them, and is on more wages. It kills our wage
at the
structure.
same
If
side. I get
Mason Mount was proper Chelsea, he would take a 1 or 2 year extension with a small pay rise because he is on
They're not
88k
going to
a
do
week.
that.
Give
Look
him
at
a pay.
everyone else. Look at
Well,
what everyone else is getting at the club. Why is one player going to go, oh, let me just take a lot less because I'm proper Chelsea? And he's going to look at everyone
well,
else and how they're
why are
getting
we
paid in the
giving him?
structure.
Why
That's
are we giving
what
him
I'm trying to get at.
250k?
That's a Chelsea problem. That's not a Mason Mount problem. That's not Mason Mount's
So
fault, the wages.
give
The
him
problem is
150.
Chelsea.
So give him 150k a week and a 1 or 2 year extension.
But
And then
you're
if
saying it. You're
what?
saying it yourself. It's a Chelsea problem. It's not the player problem. It's the problem of the club, the
It's our
structure of the
problem
club.
if we give him that wage.
Yeah, but they've offered. Listen, if they offer him that wage, that's their problem. They've
And
given him.
yeah, I'm getting at the club if he signs that shit. Like
So my
Mason
point
Mount
is, it's
probably
not the
saved
player's
us by
fault.
being able to do it.
It's
But
not
I
the
mean, by
player's
not
fault.
doing
The
it.
player will go on what he will look around.
I
on
mean,
what
the
everyone
player
else is doing.
rejected it, so he's obviously negotiate. He obviously wants more than that.
Yeah, you know.
I think
Again,
150k a week for a year or two, and then you renegotiate after your
maybe,
form
but
improves for the best of both parties.
Simon Phillips rubbish the 200k a week thing. Apparently, it wasn't true, that story. However true it was or not, I don't know. Right? We won't know, to be honest.
Was Matt Law the one who said it was true? I can't lie. I'm a back Matt Law's opinion over.
Yeah, I mean, I don't. When it comes to journalists, I don't. It's not. Look, people think I'm backing Mason Mount. This is not about me backing Mason Mount. I've explained to you where I judge him. I've already said where I stand when it comes to Mason Mount. It's not now. That's the problem for me. It's about him when we progress as a team and we get better. He has to then show himself or show us his abilities and that he can fit in the system and that we benefit from him being in the system in a better, more consistent squad, which is going to happen.
This is also the overhype because when you use the tag generate, I'm not saying you do, but when I'm saying fans use the term generational on him, I'm expecting him to be able to carry this team through bad form. Because when I think generational, I think Eden Hazard. Eden Hazard carried terrible Chelsea sides week in and week out because he was generational. because his ability showcased itself in spite of the players around him. Mount can't do that.
I just don't get why
to me isn't key.
I don't get why the fan base, and before the wages, and forget the wages at this point, but I don't get why this fan base gets so uproar when it comes to Mason Mount. I don't get it. I don't. I get why people listen. I get annoyed with his performances because individually he could be poor.
Yeah.
Ultimately, he's been very good in games as well. He's you know, it goes the way his performances have gone is of how this squad's been for the last 3 years, inconsistent, all of them. You know, so like at the end of the day, it's like I still think he's been better of a bad bunch in terms of what we currently have and who he's played with the last 3 years. I think he's been better. Maybe not by miles. Stats would say it was miles, or not even miles when you think about it. But you know, like the standard shouldn't be 7 goals a season and 7 assists and not reaching double digits, which is what happened in one season. That should never be the standard of this football club. Our standard should always be that our forwards should be in double digits. I agree. But ultimately, I just think it's very hard to address Mason Mount and what he is now in what we have now, because I think the future will open it up anyway. And then we can have this discussion. And everyone that hates Mount or loves Mount we'll have this discussion properly on when the club gets better, when the players around him get better. He will have to force himself into it. He'll have to show his abilities that people say he hasn't got or think he's not good enough at. These are all question marks that we'll see later on. It's just I don't get it with Mason Mount. I don't get the whole.
I think it's just because he hasn't answered a lot of questions this season.
Yeah, but then none of them have. So what? Like, I mean, other than Reece James and Silva,
but the driving force of our team needs to be able to do that. When Reece James plays, you see a considerable improvement in the way we play, and you see a considerable decline when he's not on the pitch. When Mount plays or doesn't play, I see the issues. When Mount doesn't play, you could debate we play better. That's the difference. And 250k a week for that? Nope. Reece James justifies everything he gets, and he could demand more, and I'd understand it. Mason Mount needs to wind his neck in and focus on playing football before you even focus on a contract.
But his argument would be 2 players of the seasons prior to that, because he's been supposedly his best player. Yeah, but you get what I mean. Forget if fans votes. If we want to
debate it, 2021, you can have that. Fair enough.
everything.
Last
Would
season,
say,
it
well,
was Silva.
was I not important? Is what I agree with that. I said Silver as well. I agree with that. But the way that anyway, let's move from man because it just we're just gonna
We
sit
said
here
we were only
talking
going to talk about it for a sec.
yeah, do you know what I mean? But anyway, it's just I just want the fan base to calm down a bit with it. Like just wait.
I think with
That's what I'm
fans,
saying.
it's just like the
Yeah.
nerve. You're in the worst form of your career and you're demanding that. Come
Yeah,
on, man.
Couch, you're right in that instance. And like I keep saying, that is not the player's fucking problem. That is the football club's problem. That's what I keep telling people. Stop blaming. It's like it's the player's fault that he wants. Oh my God. He's getting in charge of it. Oh my God. He's disrespecting the club. It's his fault. No, it's not his fault. He's the one that's been offered that by Chelsea. Anyway, Mace Mount has been poor, but at least credit him for passion and desire. Anyway, let's move. I want to just quickly jump on Pulisic because I don't believe this story, Lewis. I want to ask you this. Sancho for Pulisic, the Manchester United big accounts are saying that it could happen, that Chelsea are potentially looking to do that and whatever. It don't make sense to me. I mean, is there any truth? Do you think there's any truth behind something like this? I don't think so.
The Pulisic stuff I could see because there's been links with Man United for like the last 6 months. I'm starting to think there's a bit more than just smoke with this. Sancho, though, makes no sense. They're probably just doing it because he's a Chelsea fan, born and bred. But keep him as far away from my club as humanly possible. The last thing we need is another bum flop from another club. He ain't good enough. I watched him at the Bridge. Trevor Chalobah hasn't had an easier game against an opponent in his life.
Scored against
I
us,
am
isn't
good. Yeah,
he?
against us, he was terrible.
But he
Fucking
scored, didn't he? Has he not
no,
scored?
this season,
Oh,
not
right.
last season. But yeah, don't bring him at all. I'm good.
Yep. I just with Pulisic, it's again of do you want to be here or not? If you don't want to be here, go buy someone else. That's how I feel with it. I mean, he has to want to be here. And people will go, "Oh, you got an agenda. You don't like Pulisic." No, listen to what I'm saying. If he doesn't want to be here, let him go. I don't want players that don't want to be here, like Ziyech, who should have gone last summer. Do you know what I mean?
I do feel like there's a big push that Pulisic doesn't want to leave, which I don't really agree with. But I get what you're saying as well. If he don't want to be here, just get rid. Same with anyone who doesn't want to be here. But I need to see him get the time first. Give him a consistent run of games on the left. If he plays like shit, then we've all got what we wanted. We got to see him play and he weren't good enough. Cool. Now just get rid.
I think this next part of the season is going to be massive for all of the forwards in Chelsea. I'm talking about Havertz. I'm talking about Pulisic. I'm talking about even Mount to a degree. I don't with Aubameyang. I don't really look at him as a future. I just look at him just here. I don't really care. Do you know what I mean? Like I don't get that feel like, bro.
I also think Aubameyang's been hurt because of the lack of creativity here. I think he's done the best he could.
Yeah, but even he's been shit as well to watch. To be honest, he's
because we don't feed him though.
Yeah, but he's still one of the most experienced players. Do you know what I mean? You expect a bit more. From him.
But we know what he came in for. He's here to get in the right positions and finish the chances that he gets given, and we don't give it to him. That Arsenal game, it pisses me off to no end because we look at him completely differently if we just fed him the ball in the first 15 minutes. Hell, the more I look at that Arsenal game, we could have beaten them. We dead-ass could have beaten them. Yeah, but it was just poor creativity in the final third and the first 15 minutes from the same names that just always hold us back.
I think Sterling has been poor. He's another one that I expect more from him. 300k a week, or plus. He needs to step up. People go, well, how comes he got 300k a week? Well, there's an obvious answer to that. Trophies,
pedigree,
longevity, pedigree. He can boast that. Third highest goal scoring winger in the Premier League history. Third. Mm-hmm. He can boast it. But at the same time,
second highest goal scorer for every single title winning season for City. There is a quality player in there. Don't even have to debate that.
He takes that money. It also comes with the pressure of that he has to perform, and even he has been a bit. You could probably say should be doing more, in my opinion, in the way that he's played.
Yeah.
But,
he's not been good enough at all. I've wanted him benched for Pulisic for the last month, in spite of the player.
Yeah, I agree, but I don't think Sterling's one for even now. I even said when we brought him in, I don't think people understand that bringing Sterling in isn't Eden Hazard. It's not like, oh my God, that's it, we're done now. We've got our forward. Like we need more than just Sterling. I've been saying this for so long. We need a creator, and ultimately talking about creators and like someone that could potentially come in and who's not looking to sign that contract from what we're being told is Rafael Leao. You can see Leao's qualities and skills. It's obvious. Graham Potter's comments on Rafael Leao deal, apparently. Talks well of him. Obviously, Rafael Leao spoke about Reece James as being the best player he's ever come up against. No surprise there. Got absolutely fucking pocketed in that game. However, Lewis, we saw a lot of ability from Leao at the bridge, didn't we? Even in them split moments of being able to skim players, get around them and create. Like he's having a good World Cup when he has come on. He hasn't been playing minutes, but when he has come on, he's looked good. He scored the other day as well. I mean, is this not the type of pedigree of player that you think Chelsea need in the forward line? Someone that can dribble, create from dribbling, open spaces, actually contribute to goals, playing off the left or right. What do you think, Rafael Leao to Chelsea?
I like the player. I'd bring him into Chelsea. I still think there's areas of his game that need to be improved on. Isn't a presser. His passing stats aren't the best, but he is still a quality dribbler and can finish the chances that you feed him. I think he'd be a good signing for us. I think potentially sending Ziyech to Milan can open up these sorts of talks, and they're also looking at Pulisic as a Leao replacement, so we can both help each other in this sort of deal. So yeah, I'm happy. I'd be happy to bring him in. I think it'd be a great addition for us.
Do you think a player like him also ultimately helps a player like Sterling in terms of like getting the best out of him? Do you think they complement each other in the chemistry element?
They both play in the same position, though, don't they?
Well, Sterling can play on the left. But Sterling can play off the right, can't he? We've seen him do it. Like that's not ultimately an issue. But I would play Leao off the left, Sterling off the right, and then whoever up front, Broa, whatever, Aubameyang, whatever. But why I think you would see a better Sterling is because when you watch us play with Sterling in the team, we always try and play through him, like give him the ball, and it's like dribble, go on, run, take players on. I don't think he's an out-and-out dribbler. He can dribble, but I don't think he's that dribbler, that creative dribbler. As with Leao, I think you give him the ball, you give him the ball, and you say, go on, do him, create the space, for the forwards to run into. Someone like Havertz would benefit from it, Mount to a degree. That's the type of player that I think we miss. This is the pedigree of player. We have it in Pulisic, who runs and dribbles and creates spaces, but he does it a little bit different still, in my way. And he doesn't do it enough, in my opinion. But this guy does. He will hold the wing. He will drag players towards him and he'll run into them spaces and he's got the speed to then drive in. But also, it allows Sterling, Aubameyang, Havertz, Mount, whoever we still have at that point, to flood the box and run into the spaces. Does that make sense? And I think you'll see a better Chelsea with someone that dribbles, that actually their ability is to get the ball and make space, make space, create space, It's another way of creating, is what I'm saying.
That's what is another reason why we keep saying I want to see Pulisic start for the exact same reason. But Leao does that, and he's got much better strength on the ball as well. So
physically,
yeah. I bring in Leao. I think it'd be a great addition for us, and I do think we could potentially be front runners in this as well. So we got to capitalize. But yeah, Leao, I bring Leao.
We've got Nkunku, haven't we? So we'd have Nkunku, Leao, and Sterling. What a forward line that would be, eh? With them three, if we blooming got that happening. Do you know what I mean? Sterling and Nkunku, Leao. Wow,
that would be decent. Still, to be honest, I push Leao. I put Nkunku a bit further back, in all honesty, and try and have a pure striker up top. I think that four would be very good for us. Obviously, I don't really know where Mount comes into it, but figure out.
I think what they would do is playing Nkunku as a 9. He's doing it at Bundesliga anyway. He's banging in goals. You know what I mean? He creates space. He drops deep. He comes off the left. He can switch with Leao. And then you have someone in behind that amount, a Havertz, whatever, and then you have Sterling on the right. But then it then alleviates someone like Pulisic or someone. Do you know what I mean? And this is what I'm saying. You go and buy someone like Leao with Nkunku and whatever, then you probably see Pulisic leave or Ziyech, is going anyway, but you will lose them type of players. I think ultimately I'd like to keep a Pulisic still, even if we had a Leao. But I don't know. Where do you think he is in the pecking order in terms of like priorities for you? Do you think it's one that's quite high up, or do you see it being quite low down in the priority list for adding another forward?
I don't know, because we have to sort out everything. In all honesty, the defense is the only place where I'd be like, if we don't do anything, that's fine. I don't mind. But midfield has to be first. We do need to sort out our attack, even though there are other areas that we need to sort out too. But yeah, midfield, attack, wing backs, goalkeeper, they all need to be done. I don't know whether we can do that all in a year, but we need to get as much done as possible.
This ain't happening, Varna. I keep telling people this. We are not getting Rice and Bellingham and Mount as a midfield.
No, and that's a terrible midfield three anyway. I'm not here for that.
I mean, I like Bellingham, but he's definitely a Liverpool Real Madrid player for me.
He's just too young as well. Like I get it. I see the quality. I know where the player can be. It's too young, too expensive for what we need right now. We need instant results.
I would play a 4-2-3-1, Obi, if we had Leao and Nkunku. I'd play Nkunku as the focal point. I'd play Leao off the left. I'd play Sterling off the right. And I'd play either a Mount or whoever in the middle. Havertz, Pulisic as a 10 in between that. And then I'd have two sitting, Declan Rice if we get him, and Kovacic, for example. And then the defence makes itself. You know, I'm not really worried too much about the defence. That is what I would do if we brought in a Rafael Leao. Quickly, because I know you're going to shoot at 22. Secret Scout's been talking about, I don't know much about this boy, but obviously I've begun talks with Moukoko, representatives over possibility of move for free next summer. Keen to sign the young German international on a 5-year deal plus the 1 year. Again, a lengthy contract for a young player that we seem to be doing quite a lot on. We're talking about Zakaria, and we're talking about this guy. We've got Carney, we've got Hutchinson. We seem to be targeting Casaday. We seem to be targeting a lot of these like young prospects that are decent. I mean, I watched some of these clips on Borussia Dortmund. Obviously, he's a good finisher. Do you know much about the boy? Do you know anything about him? Really?
I know he scored a lot at youth level for Dortmund. Yeah. He's in their first team squad. Yeah, like he looks like a good addition. I don't really know what else to expect from him, in all honesty. I don't know if he goes straight into our first team. But yeah, I mean, looks like a good prospect for the future, and it just feels like another one of those future signings that we're looking for. Give him time and everything. I don't expect him to be the answer to any of our problems, though.
Yeah. Again, I don't see him walking in straight away. However, it might be one for the future. Maybe that's where we're going with the recruitment. We're trying to build with these young prospects, giving them the opportunities to build up reserves and then get their opportunities in the team. And maybe that alleviates Chelsea from just buying the top prospects across Europe, because I don't think we're going to consistently do that. I think we're going to buy in certain positions the top marquees when we need them, but I think we're going to try and build around these like youthful, the new upcomings. I don't know of a player. You know what I mean? Like that's what I think we're going to try and do and integrate them into the system. But we have to see what happens. What about João Felix? Because 86 million for him is what they're saying is the price tag. Apparently, Atletico Madrid have put on for him. I'm not his biggest fan, not going to lie. I mean, I just see too many things that just do not work with João Felix. But what are your thoughts of the potentials of Chelsea and João Felix?
I'm very surprised you said that, seeing as you rate Havertz, because I kind of see this as like, I think this is the same Havertz problem, but I think his finishing technique's better, and I think he's more creative. So it all depends on the club's stance. If I see him come in, that to me just says Havertz is leaving. But that's also why I don't know if this would be a massive priority for us either, because we already have the profile of the player, and I could understand fans not wanting him because we have already the same struggles with Havertz. But I think he's much better technically. I think physically he needs to improve for the Premier League, but I do see the ability, and I do think he improves our creative output. But if we didn't go for Felix, I wouldn't think it's the end of the world either. But I do think he improves us.
I don't think he is the player that people think he is. I've not watched tons of him, and I don't watch La Liga consistently enough. But from when I've seen him in the Champions League and I've watched the World Cup, I think he had a very good game last game round. Don't get me wrong. But I just look at him, and you mentioned a couple of things. Physicality is a problem for me. I don't think, he will. That will be a problem. I think the quickness, the tempo of the Premier League could be a problem for him. I've watched. I try and think back of the games that we've played against him. Just disappears too easy in games. He's not influential. He doesn't have that swagger about where things are shit, but I will change it attitude. Like I look at Leao and I think he does that. I look at João Felix. I don't think he does that. I don't feel he does that whatsoever. Ultimately, I'd rather keep Kai Havertz than have João Felix, in my opinion. That's again, up for debate.
Oh, I mean, if they wanted to do I know swap deals ain't big, but if they wanted to do a swap deal, then we could have a conversation. But I don't think it happens unless Havertz leaves specifically, because we already have Nkunku coming in, and he probably play more centrally than Felix would anyway.
It's just that it doesn't, like, you bring him in, and it's like, right, you've got this player, but what does he solve? This is my problem with him. Like, where do we go?
He's more creative.
I don't think he is. I really don't think he is
Well, let's
that
be honest,
creative.
the bar is in hell, so I shouldn't say too much.
Maybe, but it's like yeah, João Felix. He's really like I don't rate. Mate, look, we all have preferences, right? Some rate,
Mm.
others some don't. I just look at this boy and I don't see this 86 million pound player that everyone thinks is supposedly when he went to Atletico Madrid a generational baller was going to be this great, whatever. I don't see it. Yeah, he scored some good goals, this, that, and the other, but I don't know. I don't think it suits the system. I don't think he suits Chelsea. I don't think he suits the Premier League. Ultimately, I'd rather keep Havertz than him. I keep saying
I
it.
am very surprised you say all that and say you'd want to keep Havertz.
I would. I would. I'd rather stick with Havertz than have João Felix ultimately. But again,
I think like because to me, if you didn't want Felix, I'd assume you just don't really like the style of player because I get the idea of Havertz. I just think Felix is a lot closer to that idea and has more of the application. I think Havertz's biggest issue is application. It just isn't
yeah,
there.
but I think he'd have the same problem with application in the Premier League because I don't think he'd be physical enough for it, and I don't think he'd be able to keep up with it. When you look at the way Atletico Madrid play,
Physicality is a big issue. I see it.
yeah, like I don't know. It's how we visualize it in our own selves. I'm not saying that I'm right and you're wrong, or vice versa. It's just again how we feel about it. But yeah, it is what it is. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
But
I don't
I
think Felix is someone that we should define our transfer window with anyway.
no, not for me anyway. Not for me. Other than that, just quickly, what's your thoughts on Leandro Trossard? Because again, he's another one where his agents sort of like putting him around, and obviously he's Premier League proven. Obviously, Belgium are out. He's looking for a move apparently from Brighton. We've bought enough Brighton players and hierarchy as it is. Is this a player that excites you if you do look at him? Or
He's a player that would understand what Potter would want of him. I think
Hmm.
he's a player that does improve Chelsea, can play on the wings, can play centrally. All depends on the price tag, really, but I would be fine with bringing in Trossard. I think Trossard's one of those who right now goes into our team. At the end of the process, might be a very valuable squad player to have, but I do think he would improve Chelsea by being here. So I'd
Hmm.
bring him as well. I think people look too far down on players in mid-table clubs just because they're in a mid-table club. Like the likes of Zaha as well is another example. I think Zaha right now walks into our team
Yeah,
and
I
at the
agree.
end of the process is a brilliant squad player to
I
have.
agree. I agree.
So like we gotta look downwards.
Yeah.
There are some gems down there that we aren't looking at.
People keep using this gems tag quite frequently. Fabrizio Romano used it on Endrick when he announced the "Here We Go" as a Brazilian gem. Let me get it right, people. There's only one gem. That is
Just
me. No.
fucking have it, bro.
Frankie De Jong, listen, JP, if there's one thing I agree with you on, this guy is unbelievable. He's had an unbelievable World Cup. He is so sexy to watch on the ball, isn't he? Frankie De Jong at Chelsea. Can you imagine that, Lewis, if he ever comes available again?
Oh, once he realizes Barca don't want him, bring him into the bridge because that's the only thing holding him there. I think he'd be a brilliant addition. He'd bring us some creativity from midfield. On the ball speaks for itself. The ball is basically attached to his foot. Yeah, bring him in. Like it goes without saying with Frankie De Jong, but he don't want to go. He don't want to
Him
go.
or
He's got
Enzo?
this Stockholm syndrome.
Do
He's got
you
to
know
get
what, Samuel? I agree with that. Him or Enzo, one of them. I do believe that type of profile player is needed. Enzo is progressive like him as well, physically bigger, but I think De Jong has just got this sway, like balance and suave about him, which I just love to watch. I'm looking forward to the game later today, actually, against Argentina. But Lewis, I know you have to shoot, mate. So thank you
Yeah,
for
no, guys, we're going to be
coming
going
in.
live for the watch along on my channel, but don't go anywhere because this stream's going to go straight into mine afterwards. So just chill
There you
here,
go.
enjoy the end of the stream,
Yep.
and then, yeah, we'll be live for the Brazil game. Big up,
There you go,
everybody.
man.
Big
Big
up.
up, man. See
Jem,
you
take
later on.
care.
Take
My
care, man.
guy. Big up.
See you later, man. Take care, bro. You heard it. Brazil, Croatia, watch along over there. Make sure you go and check it out. Listen, I'll open up the lines for 20 minutes. Yeah, let's get people's thoughts and opinions. There we go. You want to come in and quickly have your say? Join me. Come and get involved for the next 20 minutes, and we'll call it off just before the game against Brazil. So yeah, if you want to come in and talk about João Felix, want to talk about what we spoke about, Leao. We spoke about a number of things today, guys. Really, Graham Potter, top four. Is it? Do you agree with Lewis? Do you feel not even top six could be possible for Chelsea this season? What are your overall thoughts? The link is in the chat here. Just click the link and it will take you to me. I don't think we get two big names midfielders in the summer. I agree. I think we get a marquee and then we maybe get someone as of not that quality, if that makes sense. But not say the quality, but still has quality, but not of that high stature marquee level is what I'd probably say on that one. Big up to Nomadic in the chat. Mount, Rice, Frankie de Jong is what Varna's saying. I have a 45 player list of players I've been scouting for Chelsea at the World Cup. AJ, come in. Come in. Come in. My sleeve sponsor is gone. Where? What are you talking about, Fraser? What are you talking about? What are you talking about? But yeah, give me your thoughts. Like, do you agree? Oh, look, we got Nomadic. Yeah, let's see what Nomadic is saying. What was that, Nomadic?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm okay. Not bad. Life is good.
So
You
I've
know
just
it.
been listening to you and Lewis the last 1.5 hours,
Yeah.
and I know people are going to jump in, but I wanted to ask, as you're saying, do you really think at this point, even the fans that don't really like Rice, I think by now it's inevitable that we get Rice. So do you really think we get the way the last few minutes you're talking about FDJ? Do you really think we get Rice and FDJ, considering we have a lot of other things to fill within the squad?
I don't know. Probably, I think it falls down. I think it falls down to if we prioritise Gavordial as a centre back. If we don't, and we don't get any centre backs, then I think we probably may go for two midfielders. But then saying that, does that eliminate Rafael Leao? Like, because he would be quite a big statement, wouldn't he? So it's like, I don't know is the answer. Again, it falls down to Jorginho and Kante. What do they do? Do they go? Do they stay? Like, what's the situation? I still think we need another midfielder in there. I think time will tell, Nomadic, on this one. Do I think we can get
No.
both? Yeah, potentially, providing that it depends what we prioritise. Depends what we prioritise, is what I'd say.
Okay. In a summer that we spent a lot of time trying to fix up the problems Marina and Core left us with that defense, do you really think, I think all of a sudden everyone has realized how, like some of us that really wanted Vardiol over the summer, have realized how good he is for 20-year-old and all that. But now it's really funny, and I think me and you were talking about that yesterday. It's really funny now, all of a sudden, people don't really care about Colwell's pathway, because that was the main thing when everyone was saying we were going for a lot of
True.
defenders during the summer. People
Yeah.
are like, Colwell does not have a pathway. So if we go for Vardiol, are we not really thinking about Colwell's pathway and what happens to Colwell right now?
Yes, there's the answer to that. Because that means that we're probably going to keep him out even longer. The fact that Koulibaly's going to be here, but how long is Koulibaly going to be here is the question, because once he goes, you're going to need another one anyway. So maybe it's one with Colwill that we just leave for a little bit and, potentially bring in at a later stage. That could be something, It's Chelsea
But
having
now the thing is, I'm sorry I cut you off. The thing about that is sometimes when we're thinking about Chelsea, we always try and not think what the players also want.
Yeah.
Is he going to agree to another loan, or he'll probably like put his foot down and be like, I'm tired of moving around and I just want like a permanent place. So
Well,
it's either you're selling me to Brighton or whoever, or you're
they
bringing me back.
they have a relationship with Brighton anyway. He's playing Premier League football ultimately anyway. I don't see him really being too upset at this moment in time, in my opinion.
But he really hasn't been playing. I think at Brighton he's only started, I think, about 3 games, and they've all been like FA Cups or
He played
something.
against
And
Arsenal,
he's
didn't he?
gotten like
Yeah.
not even Madison minutes. I can't say those are Madison minutes. He's gotten like 5-10 minutes in PL games.
I don't know. Again, maybe he will want more game time, which means that he goes on another loan to somewhere else, potentially abroad. That could happen, and he does that. And maybe the plan is to sit down with him at Chelsea and say, "Look, you need another loan. We don't feel you're ready to come into the team yet. However, we do, at some point want to give you an opportunity. And if they do that, then and I think there'll be a lot of incentives with these young boys. I don't think we just don't give them in the old guard, we used to get them in and just loan them and nothing. They never got a chance. It was just a dead, I don't think they're going to do that. I don't think that our new owners are approaching it like that. When you look at the contracts they gave Brower and the incentives they gave him to be better and to push, kick on, I think they'll try and do with most of the youngsters that they feel that they want to grow and get into this team at a later stage. So I don't think it's more about the now. think it's just about the future with a lot of them.
One last question before I look like I'm hogging the mic. So in such a case, if I'm trying to think about how we're trying to purchase in the summer, we don't know a lot yet, but would you personally, you as Gem, would you, thinking that Silva is be turning 39 next year, and I think I probably now want Koulibaly to shift positions. If you've watched a lot of Senegal during the World Cup, like I don't like where we're playing Koulibaly. Would you still go for Vadio?
What if Silva leaves?
No, I'm trying to say, I'm giving the whole thing like Silva's gonna be 39, so there's no way we're expecting him to be playing 40 plus games. It will not just make sense. His age will start showing, and over the last few games before the World Cup, we could see a little bit of mistakes from Silva, which is understandable. So would you still?
He's also been very good in the World Cup, Silva, in a back four, which a lot of Chelsea fans said he couldn't do. So I don't agree that the fact that he can't play the back four. So it's the thing of like, how long does Silva want to continue on playing for Chelsea? Ultimately, we're going to have to look to replace. But if he turns around and says, well, I've got another season in me, and he extends, and we already have Fofana, Chalobah, Koulibaly, and you're now bringing Gavordi out, it's going to fall down to what system do you want to play? Because if you're playing a back three, you can get away with having that many centre-backs. When you play a back four, only two of them are playing. So do you want to spend 70 million on a player that could potentially not play a full he might only play half the games of the season? That's the question mark.
Personally, I think Koulibaly was the Silva replacement.
Yeah, but then, Koulibaly, how long is Koulibaly going to be around for? He's got a 3-year contract, isn't he, at the moment? One of them been served nearly already. So it's like, yeah, he'll be around for 1 or 2 years. But then even with Silva gone, you're still going to need someone in there. It can't just be Koulibaly and Fofana. You're going to have someone. Chalobah, maybe. I don't know what the plans are for Chalobah, because I think Chalobah is better in the back three than we have seen in the back four. Again, maybe he has to adapt his game, but it just leaves question marks, doesn't it? It's a hard one. I don't know what or where we're going to go with it, Nomadic, to be honest. We have to wait. Good questions, though. Very good questions, as always.
David Hassan, I want to ask more, but I want them also to talk.
Yeah, let's go to David. David, how are you doing, mate? What are you up to? He's gone. All right, he's gone. Hassan, what are you saying? How are you doing, mate? What are you up to?
Someone's got the video in the background there, but yeah, I've been fine, man. I've been enjoying the World Cup. It's just a shame that it's ending so soon, man. It's just a shame that it's been ending so soon. And yeah, I just hope there's 1 or 2 more upsets in the World Cup. But other than that, Chelsea, there's a lot of work to do. And it's because of that work. I just don't want to go back to watching Chelsea. It's just because it's just going to be more painful. But I'm just going to be hopeful and optimistic. I'm just hoping that a lot of these players were just saving themselves because of the World Cup. And now that the World Cup's out of the window, they'll be able to start focusing on league games and stuff. And yeah, like what Louis said earlier, we got a lot of problems to do in a couple of windows. And Todd wants to do it as fast as possible, because I don't blame him. I see a lot of teams that are declining now. Liverpool are declining. United still got a lot of problems they won't be able to fix compared to us, because they still got the Glazers. There's a lot of teams that need a lot of work. And right now, we could easily try to bridge that gap towards City, but it's just depending on who's available and how much are they going to go for. And as well, we're going to have to balance the books as well. And that's the problem, you see. I think what I said earlier, a lot of on the last Chelsea show that we did on transfers, a lot of them are going to be pre-contract agreements. And yeah, I don't mind. Right now, I just don't care about the prices anymore. It's just irrelevant because we're going to be buying potential and Chelsea tax as well as Premier League tax. They all know that we got a lot of money to spend and we're going to spend it on these positions. Everyone knows it. So the price tags don't really matter. It's a matter of who you get for that price, if you know what I mean. It's about the quality and the profiling of player. If it's a good profile, like I know this window or the summer window, it's either gonna be Rice or Bellingham. If you do get Bellingham, I feel like another that DM option is gonna be a cheaper one, but it's just way too many problems, and I'm to be honest, we don't get paid to stress about this. It's up to the club and Bowley. Bowley's gonna get the inevitable blame if he gets things wrong, and yeah, I'm just gonna enjoy every moment of the World Cup. I'm gonna enjoy the quarterfinal today and quarterfinal tomorrow, and then the full mindset is gonna be about Chelsea and how the players react, because a lot of people are saying that the players were saving themselves for the World Cup, but I just think they're just dreadful. As well as that, that's just an excuse. But I guess we're gonna have to wait and see what kind of players or what kind of Chelsea turns up after the World Cup.
Yeah, I hear you, Hassan. Makes a lot of sense, bro. Makes a lot of sense. AJ, we need to be quick because I know Brazil and Croatia are starting in 15 minutes. So unfortunately, I'll have to speed this one up. But we are going to be ringing them shows again more often throughout the week as we get closer to the windows and Chelsea again. So we'll be back to normal, guys. But AJ, go on, bro. What do you want to say?
What's up? Big up, Jim. Big up, everybody.
Big up.
I missed the first hour of the chat, but I just came basically now. But I mirror everything that Hassan is saying. You know, it's kind of sad that the World Cup's coming to the end just because Chelsea has been kind of underwhelming. But I mean, we got to face our problems at some point. So I've been watching the World Cup with a view of like players that Chelsea need, you know. And I'm really targeting that midfield area and that wide defensive area, like right back, right wing back. So I have a crazy list. This list like got out of hand, but it's all quality players. I have like 45 players, but it's split up between defenders, midfielders, and attackers. But the largest list is the midfield. It's like 25 players.
Go on then. So let's break it down. Go on. You do it. Go on. Let's go.
Just quickly. I wrote down Enzo from Argentina.
Yeah.
Rice from England. Bellingham. De Jong. Musa from USA. Adams from USA. Ruben Neves from Portugal. Mateus Nunes from Portugal. Vitinha and Palhinha from Portugal. Portugal has a really strong midfield. I realized that this World Cup. And these are all players that we need for like our team, like profile of players.
I hear that.
I wrote Den Donker from Belgium, Tielemans from Belgium, Goretzka, Brozovic, Jabril from Switzerland, Bruno Guimaraes from Brazil, Paqueta from Brazil, Anguissa from Cameroon, Amrabat from Morocco, who's a really good player. I think everybody should watch him in the next game. He's a really good player.
Yeah.
I wrote down Rabiot because he had a good game, and Edson Alvarez just because we've been linked to him, so I was watching him a little bit.
So out of them, my first one is Enzo Fernandez.
He's number one on the list.
Yeah, he's number one. He's number one. Frankie De Jong's there as well, though.
Yes.
Them two are just. But then it's like, what do we need? Because we kind of need them, but we also need a DM. So it's like you need a Rice, you need an Alvarez, you know what I mean? So it's kind of you need both. You need at least two of them. But yeah, go on.
So yeah, I think out of that list, we definitely need a defensive midfielder and a box-to-box type creator type midfielder. And I think the World Cup has shown that there's still players out there. I know we've been hooked on Rice, and I've been one of the people who's been saying we need Rice, and I'd still take Rice to this day, even after seeing the World Cup and all of that, and seeing all these players. I'd still take Rice because he's proven in the Premier League. Now, for the creative side, I think we need somebody like Frankie De Jong or Enzo, somebody like that. So if we can get, those two or something out of that, it would work.
Cool. No, I hear that, mate. That makes. I'm assuming you got a massive long list of other positions.
Yeah,
as well.
I do.
You know what, AJ? Save that list, and what we'll do is I'll talk to you off air, but we'll put that list together after the World Cup, and we'll go through the name of players. Obviously, transfer windows coming up anyway in January. We're not going to specifically buy them players, but maybe for the summer we can talk about the potentials of the positions of what we've seen in the World Cup and who would bring the best out of this Chelsea team. But Daniel.
Definitely.
Yellow Bus, bro. How you been, man? I haven't seen you in a while.
My pineapple brother. I'm good, bro. Just enjoying the World Cup. No Chelsea. It's been good.
Are you happy with USA?
Yes. Huh?
Was you happy with the USA and their performances?
I don't give a damn about them. I just live here, man. I just
What's
live
your
here.
what's your thought? I know Chelsea's not been much on Chelsea at the moment, but what's your thoughts on like what you've seen in the World Cup and the midfielders that have played, like the Enzo Fernandezes, the De Jongs, and whatever? Do you and the Amrabats, for example, do you feel that they're the type of players that Chelsea should look at for the summer?
I mean, you don't really judge too much the World Cup and like transfer decisions, right? Because we've seen players have great World Cups, get signed, and go right back to form of being shit. But so like players who but there's, I mean, it's up to different levels, right? The players who I wanted before the World Cup, I still want.
Yeah.
The players who I didn't want before the World Cup, I don't want. So
Who'd you want?
like, Rice, obviously, I think he's the best defensive option we can get out there. Attacking, passing wise, I'm trying to open up to Enzo because I think there's no clear pass master out there that we can get that's world class. There's no clear option, right?
Yeah.
And I know we like Frankie de Jong as well, but his mentality doesn't move me, and he didn't spawn like he was the leader in that Netherlands team. So I'm opening up to like someone like Enzo, a younger player who is coming from a league that translates very well to the Premier League, the Portuguese league. It translates very well. So there's some other names mentioned like João Felix. I don't want Felix to touch this club at all. I don't. Why are fans even mentioning him? It's
don't get me started, mate.
I don't get it. He's not. He struggles. The main thing he struggles with is physicality.
So I keep
Decision making, all these things that, and you want to bring him to the most physical league. It doesn't make sense.
No,
but
I agree.
You asked me also last player. You asked me about Josko. That's such a I want everything type of buy from Chelsea fans. Seeing how we've developed center backs. First of all, center backs take a while to develop either way, right? The ones who are world class at 23, those are usually like all timers. Are we saying he's an all timer? Are we saying Fofana's an all timer? Because if you get both of them, one of them has to be. Because one of them will start almost every game, right? So that's what you're kind of pushing yourself into. I'm not saying don't get a center back, but you need to get somebody who's in the 24 to 25 range, right? Who is able to come in, and you have your Fofana who's 21, who's supposed to be. We paid 80 million for him, or was it 65?
Yeah,
we paid that for him, right? You have Chalobah who's gotten a 6-year deal, so he's going to be a rotational piece in this club, right? You have Koulibaly who's supposed to be the experienced head, but he's kind of rash. So you need another experienced player to like who's more of a common presence, right? In that team, more of a leader, a common presence, not so much like I feel like we have a lot of other center backs, right? We don't have main center backs. And it's not just about, like for me, if you're going to have a 25-year-old come in and that's the player who's going to start most of the games with Koulibaly in the rotation with those 4 guys, the 5th guy cannot be somebody you pay 45 to 50 million for, which is Josko. That has to be Colwill. That has to be Colwill, right? So it's not saying don't buy a center back, just don't buy another 19-year-old, because then you have Chalobah who's 22, you have Fofana who's 20, you have Josko who's 19, right? So that's three center backs who are under 19, 2 of which you've paid a lot of money for. Development-wise, it doesn't make sense. You're not going to be able to do it.
But it also goes to priorities, doesn't it? Again, because if we're going to sit here and talk that in this window, we should be looking at centre backs when we wasted the summer window predominantly just looking for centre backs. It doesn't make sense to me, does it? Do you know what I mean? Like,
no, at all. But then you see the same thing with Christensen and Tomori, right? Sometimes when you have 2 young center backs, you can't play 2 of them together. You know what I mean? Like it's going to hurt one of their developments because they there's no leader there, right? And they both make errors, and there's nobody to kind of guide them. And we saw when Thiago Silva came in, and I know you don't rate Christensen, but he looked so much better next to a world-class player, right? Yeah. And Tomori went to Italy, looked so much better next to a more experienced player. Exactly. That helps them as young center backs. So, yeah, I'm not signing Josko. No.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think the only rebuttal to that is that you talk about experience, and I get having too many young players is not maybe the way forward, especially to where we want to go progressively. But then you look at what you require, which is the experience, someone to come in and play that role, and then you look at what's available, what we could get for that. I don't think that when you look at it, there's not that many leaders defensive leaders in the world out there that you can go out and buy in the summer anyway. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah, well,
Right.
I think it's more so like a balance thing, right? Where you have a Fofana who's a very aggressive defender, but he has the potential to be a world-class player, right? Now, you might get somebody who's not at that level, who's probably at like a Cahill level, right? A very good, solid player who can help him develop to that range, who gives you a 7 out of 10, right? Every game moving forward, but doesn't have the potential to be a 9 out of 10. Because you already have the 9 out of 10 potential in your team. And I think Cole is also a 9 out of 10 potential. So you have two. You don't need another one to kind of try and develop all three. You know what I'm saying? Like, it doesn't.
Yeah, I hear that.
So I'd rather even get like someone like a Pau Torres. I know I've shared on him previously for not being a world-class player, but then I'm realizing you might not really need a world-class player to come into that role for these guys if Fofana is going to develop into that.
If he's going to deliver, that's the big question.
But that's a lot of ifs.
That's why we paid the money for him. You think he is?
We bought him for that.
But as you're saying, to what you have been saying, I'm sorry I cut someone off. That's a lot of ifs and buts. I get what you're saying about Vadio, and he's about 20 or something. But by the time probably you're getting him, he's played about 3 full seasons of first-team football. I understand you're saying he's young, but sometimes it's the same way. You're taking a Jude Bellingham or something. He's young, but he's been playing first-team football consistently for a good team.
2-3 years.
But everybody has, though. Like, I hear when people use that, right? Like, he's been playing since he was 18. Who hasn't? You know what I'm saying? Like, a lot of players have been playing
about who hasn't.
on the top level.
There's a
lot of players on the top level have been
playing. You're literally generalizing the whole.
No, hold on.
It's not about
who hasn't. He's 19, right?
He's played, let's say, three seasons of first-team football at a good league for a good team. It's not like he's playing at a League 2 team and playing in the you get. I'm not trying to shit on it, the championship or something, but you get what I mean. He's not playing for some mediocre club in a mediocre league.
Hold up. Let me put it this way for you. Fofana played at Leicester for a couple of years, right? But before that, he was in France in a very good team, right? Do we expect him to be world class next year?
No.
Okay, so that's a player who's played in 2 very good leagues, in a very good team in the Premier League, and we still don't expect him. He's only 20. He's experienced. He's been playing since he was 17.
But when you play in the World Cup, it's a little different. You know, the energy is different. The situation is different. So I believe that if you're chosen to play in the World Cup, you can handle a certain amount of pressure. You can deal with a certain type of game, and you can deal with a certain type of player. So Fofana is not at the World Cup. You know, he's injured. I don't know if he was going to.
No, he would have gone if he wasn't.
Would he get in the World Cup? Would he get in that sense?
I don't think he would. I really don't. I think France backbone is let's not cap because he's our player. The France team has a lot of good centre backs. Let's not cap about that.
I don't think he would get
There's
in.
Konate there. There's Upamecano there. There's a lot of
question. Would Wavido get into that team?
Who?
Huh?
Wavido.
Get on what team?
The France team. I'm talking about France. Exactly. So him getting chosen for the World Cup for Croatia is not the same as Fofana having to fight with Upamecano and Varane and all these other guys to get into the France team. It's not the same.
I'm not going to agree with that.
That's why are we doing a lot of bending and all that to say that this one is a better player than this one? Anyway. I think the part we were arguing about, maybe I didn't understand you, but I think the point I was trying to make a rebuttal to was you saying we don't need 2 youngish center backs. Was that it? Was that what you said, or did I misunderstand you?
No, I'm saying we don't need 3. We already have 2.
I agree with that. We do need experienced center backs because at the end of the day, the best center backs are, damn near 30 plus. These
young players should be taken from Thiago Silva, who's probably going to be leaving, Koulibaly. It's not like we haven't got experience. We have it. It's just how much are they going to learn from what's around them? Do you know what I mean? And then become what they're going to become in the future. That's the other thing, as well. So it's like,
and that's the thing. I think the problem with us, I'm sorry I cut you off, Jem. The problem with us, we are not bedding in those youngish players very nicely. You see the way, let's give an example very quickly about Real Madrid are doing with their midfield. You still have Modric there, you still have Cruz, but you're bringing in not Casemiro. You're bringing in Camavinga, you're bringing in Tchouaméni, and they're learning. Let's say you get a year of not playing full, like all games, but you're seeing and you're bedding in and you're mixing in and out. And that's why in my point, I was thinking, there's a lot of this fan base, which I don't agree with because, I love J5, but a lot of this fan base does not like J5 or everything. But there is no way we're going to lose. You want to lose J5, Kante, cover in one window and then have a fresh new midfield. Thiago Silva is in his last 6 months and all this, bringing a fresh, probably new defense. You want a new goalkeeper. Like these people need to be like bedding in and matching in together. I don't know if I'm waffling or I'm not making sense.
No, you are. I do get what you're saying about it, 100%. I think there's right opinions on both sides. I get what Daniel's saying. I 100% agree with what he's saying as well. But at the same time, I think it's having the balance, isn't it? Is ultimately what we're trying to say here, other than that. But I think Silva has made Trevor a much better player. You see how how Thiago coaches him on the pitch. It is. I think when you look at Chalobah when he first came into Chelsea to then when he got benched to when he came back, I think you see that he's improved parts of his game in the way that he understands, reads, plays the game. I actually think Chalobah's played pretty well. But guys,
less reckless now.
We'll be back. Yeah, we'll be back because it's 3:02. Brazil, Croatia's on. Let's go and watch the World Cup. Been on for the last 2 hours here as well. I will be back. Usual shows will start picking up normal again. We're going to be going to transfer windows. Also, we're going to be talking about obviously player ratings, match reactions. We're all back to doing the Chelsea stuff on here again on a more frequent basis on the weeks as well. But yeah, big up to you guys, man. Thanks for coming on as well. Daniel, nice to see you, bro, as always. Thank you for popping in. Hassan, Nomadic, AJ, thank you guys. And we'll be back again very, very soon, guys. Take care. See you later.